Hey, everybody. It's me, Doc Normal. And I just unmuted the giant head of Jason Allen.
Hello.
Oh, man. One of these days, we're going to get that microphone figured out.
That's right. I know. It's a little scratchy, isn't it?
It is a little scratchy. It's coming in scratchy here. Everything's coming in scratchy here. Hey, how come I'm over here? Oh, that's better. All right. You can move back a little bit, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just all your head, man.
Oh, it's super zoomed up then, because I'm sitting pretty far back.
Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, weird. Oh, well, whatever.
Well,
That is weird. That is weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Big Head Friday.
It is weird. It's almost like magnifying, which it doesn't do, so I don't know. You know what? All the stuff you have to do to get on the live stream right now. Oh my God! And you know, just before you. Okay, hey, let's have some excitement. Now, it's just like every time, the more and more I get on these services to go live stream, the more bummed out I get. I mean, you know, it's nice, like, when you have your own private stream that you use for other, like, private events, you know?
Right.
And you just click on it and your whole world magically unfolds. Like
right.
Disney. I don't know. I mean, it's just, you know, and like I went into Facebook, they totally changed everything. Last week, I made up instructions and a tutorial of how to do this, how to live stream on Facebook. Throw it out the window. Screenshots, all of it. Just throw it out the window. Facebook entirely changed the whole thing. Thanks.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like, you know. But I'm supposed to be like doing gratitude. There's so much going on.
Sorry, somebody's trying to call me in the middle of a show. Don't you just love that?
Well,
like,
that happens. That happens all the time. So, but we're live, and we're live here on whatever platform you may or may not be doing. The only platform that is our own is the audio one. Right now, the audio stream, the tune in and all that, that comes off of our server. But I'm just so like, oh, I just want to use my own server now. But I mean, you know, pay for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a product we were using last year that, what are you doing?
My kid is trying to call me in the middle of a show.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to multitask. Heck, I'm not even a good monotasker.
I know.
I'm like a good no-tasker. So hold on. Let's see what he wants live.
Okay, great.
I wanted to know if you need that butthole massager that you wanted.
No, I don't need the butthole massager at this time.
Okay. What about the onion soup roll you cry?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And sour cream, thank you.
Sour cream, I already got that. All right.
Don't you love that? You get my shopping list live on the air.
Is that really?
Soft old man diapers.
No ultra soft old man diapers. I'm okay. I like the scratchy kind.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm very sure. Thank you.
I went to the store today before this show. Yeah. Everything's so distorted. Like my audio is now, it's just like my audio exists within Jimi Hendrix fuzz box, you know?
Right.
I think part of it is the headphone monitors are all old and scratchy. Hello. Anyway, I'm just going to be here and complain for most of the time here because, you know,
that's right.
That's what we should be doing.
We're curmudgeons. That's you know, true to form.
Well, you know what I like is if anyone criticizes, like, hey, you know that thing, it's not quite, that's not quite right or whatever, and it's like, you know what, I already know. So I already know about that. Okay, so yeah, I went to the store, and it was really weird out there today. It's very weird. Things are getting weird. And they're going to get weirder. Right? Did you just freeze? Did you just freeze on me? You son of a... Oh my gosh. This is how good things are going. Jason just, boom, freezes. Okay, well, so much for that. That's, I think, the first time he's frozen on me. Actually. Oh, wait. Okay, now you're back.
Oh.
Are you back?
Hey, hello there. I think so, at least audio-wise.
Yeah, you totally froze. You just froze.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Just
going on.
died. Just.
Oh, look at that. Okay. I think I'm here.
Yeah, you are here now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep, you're fine now.
Yeah, you weren't. You just totally froze. It was. I thought we were going to disconnect, actually.
Earth to Major Tom. Earth to Major Tom. Kenneth, what is my frequency? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Anyway, so I was saying I went to the store. It's weird out there.
Yeah.
I tried to go to Trader Joe's, and, they had a line. So, okay, here's what I don't get. One store, you have a line, you line up, you get people in there and stuff like that. I understand people are wearing face masks. You go to this other store, you drive past another business, just like business as normal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so store A, Trader Joe's would be one. I think New Seasons is another one that does this too. You got to kind of stand outside the door, kind of in line, good distance from each other. They don't just let you in. So I drove past, the line was too big, so I was like, okay. Well, so then I went to Safeway. Who cares? Who cares? There's no line. Both doors are open. People just swinging in there. Now, okay, they did have a guy who was wiping down the carts at the carts, so that's good, But nobody cared.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people wear masks, other people don't. So, oh man, you look like you're cutting out again, dude. You're cutting out. Wonder what that's all about.
Place is sold out.
Is your internet doing weird stuff? You're kind of glitching in and out. Because it's not like anyone's out there. Oh, the population of the Earth is now all discovered live streaming.
Yeah. As far as I know, I am connected and secured.
Okay. I don't know if
So I don't know if it's just a Friday thing or if it's...
Yeah, it's just glitching here and there. Oh, and their ants are running around everywhere. Oh, God dang it. Like a whole bunch of ants. You know what the ants do? This is awesome. This is another thing that I love so much is for some reason, okay, you understand if you leave food out on the counter or something spills, right, in the kitchen, and all of a sudden you have an ant invasion. One time I had this gumball machine, and I filled it with gumballs. It was fun, in the living room. And a week later we come back and there's an ant just like found all the gumballs. So it's like, well, that's not going to work. But you kind of understand that. They're looking for food. They're like, here's some awesome food. Now around here, it's not the food. It's like, oh, look, this computer's on. Let's go hide in this computer because it's warm or something. They dig it. What the hell? What kind of crazy? I think these are mutant, Damnation Alley ants. I really did.
It could be.
I had a whole printer. I had a printer. They're going, oh, dude. This computer? Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Where's the spray? They're all, oh, no. There's an ant. I can't, hang on a second. Oh, man. This is disgusting. Ah, come on, man. You wouldn't believe it. I'm sitting here spraying a giant amount of ants just under this computer here. Well, that's going to work.
Come to me, my ant friend.
I just broke the Statue of Liberty, too.
Ooh.
Can you believe that?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Yeah, look at this. Statue of Liberty fell off. Oh, great. Oh yeah, I just broke her arm too. You dirty damn apes! You dirty! You did it, didn't you? You dirty! So much for the Statue of Liberty. Well, that's telling, isn't it? Can you hear me? Hang on a second, I gotta get a towel. Oh, man. Well, so I guess today's all about studio maintenance. Did you catch any of that?
I did. It's
So there's a little computer here that controls the sound. I probably have ants crawling on me too. Just give me a heads up if you see like little spots crawling on me. There's a freaking damnation alley in here, man.
this is crazy, man.
We need to get that
Omega Man.
We need to get the truck. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, shut up, Spock. Can you believe it? And then the Statue of Liberty fell off and broke.
Oh man, that is a bad omen.
Oh, it's bad. No, I lifted up the computer, and you know how it's just like a pile of ants?
Yeah.
Cool. Just cool.
Cool.
And it's because the computer just was in standby mode, just powered on.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the crap stream. Yes, this is the first time you get to see us in our crap stream mode.
Right, special crap stream.
The thing is I have stuff, and you can spray the stuff, but it'll kill you. I mean, that stuff is awful. The real stuff that you spray out to kill all these guys and make them dead and make them stay away. Oh, it's bad stuff. Like, talk about wearing a mask. You have to wear a mask when you spray this ant stuff.
Yeah.
A year or two when we were setting this up, I had to actually spray it all, the perimeter and everything, so they wouldn't come back. And so now it's time again. And these ants are crazy. These are bad ants too. It's this infestation of ants.
Well, it's post-apocalypse ant warfare going on.
Well, they're like Argentine ants or something.
Uh-oh.
Something like that. Yeah.
Ants from the Pampas.
Watch. People will say.
Pampas.
People will say, "Oh no, don't call them that." It's like, no, read up on it. Read your Wikipedia. God dang it. It's like there's just a thing with the ants is they just throw out their pheromones and then you got a million of them.
Yep.
It's and you would think, I thought, see, look, it's 2020, right? And I kind of thought science, we'd kind of have this solved, like, oh, ants are infesting my laptop, Oh, here's another thing, too. Did I tell you, I think I was just in the middle of telling you about this. I had a printer that would stay on in standby mode that a lot of people normally do in standby, and then when you use it, it comes on. Well, a couple of years ago, that printer just one day opened it up, and it's like ant pile in there.
Oh.
I know, man.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. No, how is it good? Like, is there any positive you can spin on it? It's like, well, actually, they're part of the ecosystem. No, they're pests. That's the difference. When it's a pest, it's not part of the ecosystem. They obviously don't have natural predators that are going out there and keeping them in check. Like, hey, there's a big wide world on the outside there. Ants, go thrive in your big wide world.
Well, there is one positive thing that you could spin out of this. And that is you are creating good, affordable housing for the ants.
Oh, great, yeah. Unlike doing that for our fellow Americans who need it right now.
Right.
My gosh. I mean, that's kind of partly why I spray this desk and everything off, a little bit to keep it clean and... Oh, this is going to be fun. Well, I need to shut it down. I might, I'm afraid because what happened with the printer, I took the printer apart and had to spray it out. And then the solution was, don't ever keep the printer on. Turn it on, use it, turn it off.
Turn it off, right.
And I had to get these weird ant baits and it's called the taro stuff, which kind of works, but it attracts them anyway. That's the other thing I don't like. Just kill them and have them walk up and go, okay, this is bad. We don't want to be here anymore. That is a really hard thing to do with ants.
It is. Because most of the stuff, they send out that stuff to get the ants to come there. So they bring in the ants and then kill them, but then you're left with a bunch of ant carcasses.
Well, here's another disgusting thing. Let's just talk about why I have now decided I don't like ants. I mean, this has been in the works for a while. And it's because they're pests. If you're outside, if you're in the woods, if you're on their turf, hey, it's mano a mano, right? It's evolution versus... Sure. But if you're here on my turf, no. Really,
Yeah.
it's not saying much of the whole we evolved to rule the earth kind of a thing, and we got these little buggers around in our iPhones and our high-end electronics.
Yeah. See, you know what I blame? I blame Pixar. I blame Pixar because an ant's life or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or a bug's life, and they make him into this. Oh,
you know what? I don't remember. I don't remember. There was ants. I get them mixed up. There was ants, and there was A Bug's Life.
Right.
And it's like the same movie, but it's not. It's different.
Just same movie, two different companies.
I haven't even had my beverage yet.
One I think is DreamWorks, and the other was Pixar.
Yeah. Why don't these ants go down to Hollywood and infest Steven Spielberg's office or something? See me? I don't care. Go to James Corden's house while he's live streaming, because everyone's live streaming now.
Right.
Now everyone's a YouTube star, TV stars. You know, this Friday was supposed to be a kinder, gentler Friday.
Happy-go-lucky Friday?
And it started out really bad. So I'm at the store.
Yes.
And I just don't get it. Like I said, it's like one store, you're standing outside, people are almost wearing biosuits or whatever, and the other store, it's like, And people are like, well, we have to... Oh, and here's the thing. I drive past a major industrial business to go to the store. And I thought, well, I wonder what those people look like. They're just walking to work. No one's wearing a mask. They're standing there walking across the street. They're not social distancing.
Oh, boy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I've noticed that whenever I've been unleashed out onto the public. Nobody is observing any of the social distancing rules. I mean, I swear, someone comes into my biosphere, I'm moving across the room, right? And the only thing I can detect that people have changed about their habits are they're wiping down, like shopping carts and other stuff a little bit more than usual.
Right.
But I swear, I'm standing there in a store, someone will come up, get right in my space, and I'm like, 6 feet, people, come on, Well, it's over and over again. It's like, no,
what's weird is that I've always been that way. Like before this, it was like, hey, what's this? When you're like in the line at the supermarket and someone's like coming up right next to you, it's like...
That gets to me.
You're like, are you crowding in this line, or are you just happy to see me? I mean...
Right, because common curmudgeon protocol is when you're up there ringing up your stuff or bagging your stuff, the person in back of you should be at the very end of the little console thing, waiting his turn, a good 6 feet, 7 feet away from you.
Yeah.
But there are some people, man, they will just get right up in your grill, and it's like social distancing people.
Yeah, and you're looking back like, what are you doing?
Right, and then they're giving you the look like you're the guy that what is he looking at? You know, it's like, you know, this whole coronavirus thing. You may want to back up a few.
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm always that way.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. So I'm like, hey, this is cool. Yeah. Oh, distancing, baby.
Right.
How you doing out there? How you doing? How you doing? You know. I mean, it's just like,
I'm the same
you
way.
know. It's like when
you
get on an airplane or get off an airplane. Everyone's all up in your grill, you know.
Yeah.
You just gotta like what I do, because I got the overhead and everything.
Yeah.
What I do is I just immediately jump out in the aisle, do like the football stance, you know. Oh, what's going here? And then I grab my super heavy overhead, overhead luggage.
Yeah.
Right? Like a big giant football. You know?
Right.
Spin it around a little bit so if people come too close, they get hit in the head with it.
Right.
All right, a little too close there. A little too close. Oh. I was going to be so nice today. You know, I was like thinking, you know, it's been a rough week and I'm going to be so nice, and turns out I am not nice right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this ant thing really took, and then then we've got, you did it, you dirty. I mean, she's smashed, man. I got this in New York. This is a New York. Whoa. This is
1 second.
Okay. Anyway, I got this in New York. So we're having all kinds of technical difficulties that we've never had before. And that would be Jason blowing his nose.
What?
And I realized that And I realized I didn't bring anything like that down here, so I'd be screwed. There was no toilet paper, of course. Okay. Oh, man.
That was pretty much for comedic effect. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't know.
It was wonderful. So there was no toilet paper.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But today has been a very allergic sort of dust sort of problem. I find myself sniffing a lot, and it's just dusty in here.
Well, see, I have that all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, if it's like, oh, you know that thing when you were really, really sick a month ago and you thought you were dying of allergies?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. You know those symptoms that you thought were all allergies and asthma symptoms, which match the symptoms of
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now, in hindsight, well,
yeah. Oh, I know. That's the whole process I've got going right now. Is the whole. Yeah, you know. I mean, it's one of those things with which ultimately down the road it would be nice if we had a little. I guess it would be a blood test.
Yeah.
For the antibodies that would tell you if you were exposed, had been exposed, had this virus. Ugh. Which apparently you're not supposed to use those words on social media.
Oh.
Because the bots... dude, stop it. Just everybody stop it, okay?
You mean they get all angry when you use the V word?
Well, because they're worried that people are going to, I guess, talk about those things, and then it's going to be fake news or whatever.
Yeah.
So only, the official news people... you got to find better news sources than CNN or whatever, because they're just gonna politicize everything.
Well,
and I get it, but at the end of the day, everyone's going through, and we need real important information, like from doctors and scientists and people like that. Remember, like the day the Earth stood still, we were talking about that.
mm-hmm.
Like those old 50s movies, bad things happen, aliens come down and everything. What do? The world must turn to our scientists. Dr. Schlemingine. What do you have to say? Well, I have to call up my colleagues. You know, I mean, and they always meet at the United Nations, and it's all the scientists. It's never the politicians. It's always the scientists, right? And the military's like, well, just go in and kill it. Tell us when. And the scientists are going, whoa, no. We can't just kill it. We need to think of this scientifically. That's what happens in all those 50s movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's what should be happening today. You know?
You got the war hawks, you got the scientists, and you got the politician guy kind of stuck in the middle. And both of them are like, you know,
and nobody likes, nobody likes the politician guy.
Yeah.
You gotta be some, anyway. I know I'm not gonna be nasty about politicians. See? So we just need that. We just need people to come in and do the work. And it's science and medicine and stuff.
Yeah, the sad thing is, in most of the news, you're looking for a Walter Cronkite, and what you're getting is a Rush Limbaugh or the left equivalent of thereof. And for once, I think we got to harken back to the 70s or 60s and just do hard news.
Oh, I know, and everything's got to be this or that, or look what this person did, and then look what they did, and.
Yeah.
It's not what you're supposed to do during a crisis. And really, the only people I want to hear from are the only... I don't pay attention to the mainstream media because it's so bad. And I'm sorry, I know I have journalist friends. Not you, but let's be honest, the state of journalism and the people who are on the screen giving the news is a very low bar. They're not good. And I don't care what political persuasion you have. If you're on the left or on the right, if you're watching this station or that station, you hate this station, you hate that station. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Gotta be honest with you. They're all the same. The only sites that are credible are the hard science sites that have actual data.
Right.
But if the audience, if Americans are like, it's too hard. It's too hard to think. It's like. Right. What are you doing? What are you doing in the 21st century then?
What's going on out there? I want to go back and watch Tiger King.
Yeah, man. Tiger King. That's exactly right. So I haven't watched it yet.
Me neither.
Everyone's like, it's so good. Okay. So look, you got to entertain yourself. You got to get through this. I get it, but it's like all reality TV. I can't stand it. Look, if I watch a documentary, I want to watch a documentary that elevates me. Mm-hmm. About someone who's overcome the odds or done something great, Mm-hmm. Like I'll watch a documentary about astronauts. That's pretty good.
Sure.
It's like, hey, remember that guy? He walked on the moon. Wow. What do you do? Just wake up one day and walk on the moon? Well, no, actually, it takes a lot of training, perseverance, dangerous situations in space, and then you could walk on the moon. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. There's a lot of stories like that. I want to feel better. Yeah, there's also documentaries which expose problems. That's okay. I'm okay with that too.
Sure.
But if it's just the reality TV about crap people, and these are all crap people. They're crap. Yeah. They're just crap people. Yeah. Why do you want to watch crap people?
I find it. Go
look in the mirror if you want to see crap people. Hi. God, I'm really curmudgeonly now. There's nothing that's going to set me off before a live stream than having an anthill starting up here underneath this little laptop guy. Oh man. Anyway, so
yeah.
Like I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I love that show.
And that's a comedy, and it's a comedy about people being the worst that they can be.
Focuses on people's idiosyncrasies and
right,
and the absurd, right?
But it turns them into monsters, but in a funny way. you know?
Right.
And,
Right.
and when that show gets funny, which the last couple episodes is when a character actually tries to do something good, goes out in the world to do something positive. Like, hey, I think if I did this, this would be positive. And of course, their nature is so bad that you
Yeah.
know it's all going to come crashing down, literally in flames. And so I like that because it's the humor of human nature. It turns the mirror on human nature. And you can contemplate that, right? I mean, didn't even like Shakespeare do that? And I mean, you know, the great writers,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
Um,
Much ado about nothing.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. What's that guy's, what are those guys' names? Rosencrantz?
Oh, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a Shakespeare expert. We know Shakespeare experts. No, I'm not one. But so that's okay.
Yeah.
But to actually watch these things and it's like, oh, it's so good, and oh, and everyone's got to watch it and post, and some people are like, I'm not gonna watch it, you know, and then they're like, oh, just get through the first few episodes, it'll be good.
Yeah.
When you're done with it, like a candy bar, when you're done with it, what do you have in the end, right? Just a roll of fat on you now.
and a really bad stomach ache.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say that. I mean, everyone needs to do the entertainment that they need to do. So I'm fine with that. I get it. You know, I'm fine with people. Oh, it's this weird thing about these really weird people. But I don't have to hear the wave of, you know, maybe I'd watch it if it wasn't all over my Facebook, all over Twitter. Like, you got to watch it, everything. Yeah, as soon as you tell me I got to watch something, guess what my reaction is? Not going to do it.
Right, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
Turn into George H. Bush, Dana Carvey. Nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it.
You know, I think the thing with me about things like Tiger King and reality TV is I find it, and I always want to ask people not to be mean or condescend or anything like that to them, but it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
Because everything is so dysfunctional, and these people live these lives that are just, I mean, I don't want to be around it, I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear it, but I don't understand why people do 24 hours a day.
It's stupid.
I mean, to me,
porn.
It just makes it makes me almost feel dirty afterwards, right? Like,
it's all of the reality TV. It's just stupid porn. That's all it is, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's like
it makes you watch a movie like Idiocracy.
Yeah,
and go, huh? You know.
I mean, like I say, if I want to see a documentary or something, I want to see something technical. I want to see something where you're like, you learn something. You know, wow, I didn't know this, or I didn't know that, or, you know, interest. Science is real good. You know, anytime, in fact, we kind of had this on the list to talk about, anytime something pops up in anthropology or something like that, I'm all over it, you know?
Yes.
Oh, it's too hard. It's too boring. Okay, so you don't find it interesting how we got here.
Right.
You don't find it interesting that if you could step back through time, go back and back, epics, thousands of years, millions of years, there'd be some weird creature standing in front of you, and that's your uncle.
Right.
You know?
That's great grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one of the thing that blows my mind, I know we're kind of dancing around the news article or the article online, was the different sort of subspecies together at the same time.
Yeah.
And to me, that blows my mind.
Well, we got it now that you're talking about it.
Yeah, we may.
I mean, we can show it here. I can pull it up actually.
Yep.
Let me pull up. So what you're talking about is amongst all this other news, and again, if you just stuck to the good stuff, you know, there still is other news, especially in science. And so some papers were published. I know I sent it to you. Where is it? Oh, wow. Was it further back? Oh, yeah. God only knows. The only way we bookmark stuff is what I send to Jason in private chat. Here it is, right here. This is actually a Gizmodo article, which is fine. They do techie stuff. I'm just going to pull it up because you're talking about it.
Right.
I was going to talk about it. It's nerdy and sciencey, and it's really cool. But here it is right here. So there it is. Gizmodo. Humanity's origin story just got more complicated.
Yep.
This is by George Dvorsky. That's interesting. Interesting name. And there's a pile of bones here. Human evolution was messy, with multiple human species living and interbreeding at the same time in a convoluted process that eventually led to us. Such is the emerging narrative in anthropology, and its theory now bolstered by 3 fascinating new studies released today. That is you can go up on Gizmodo and watch it. So basically the story is when we were growing up, when we were kids, and they taught evolution, if you were lucky enough to be in a place where they taught evolution, and not Kentucky or whatever, we ain't never come from no apes. Go read your Bible.
Right.
And this week in science, origins of the species, Genesis.
Didn't we go through that monkey trial?
Exactly. Leviticus. Is Leviticus the one where everybody begat everyone?
That's something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Ridiculousness. Anyway, so, but, we had this idea back in the day, and even when I was in college, and you had this idea that there were all these early human species, and they kind of just kept dying off on the branch until you kind of get to Neanderthals and then modern humans. We're the classified modern humans. And then it was kind of like, well, Neanderthals as a branch and modern humans were coexisting at the same time. But that was it. No one else. And then the Neanderthals died out.
Right.
Well, then we started, learning about DNA and sequencing DNA and doing a lot more with computers. And we were able to figure out recently that that DNA in Neanderthals is also shared in most modern humans. So we, specifically Jason and I for sure, have Neanderthal DNA or common DNA from Neanderthals in our modern species.
Note the protruding forehead.
Right, exactly. And in fact, one study that they were, I read a while back, was they thought that lactose intolerance came from Neanderthals. That they were like, I don't know how they figured it out, but I remember reading it was like something about lactose intolerance. Anyway, so, and that has to do with kind of where you are from, like from Europe, Asia, Africa, that sort of thing. But so they have found new fossils or re-examined fossils and realized that some of them are a lot younger than what they were, and they're fossils from earlier hominids. And so these new papers are now discussing what looks like the possibility that we were running around 100,000 years ago with still archaic cousins running around, which is really weird. And the way I would describe it is, think back maybe 100,000 years or whatever, and think J.R.R. Tolkien. Think Middle Earth. Earth may have been a lot more like Middle Earth, and little dwarves and people in the I don't know who the elves would be, but giants.
Sure.
The Denisovians.
Yeah.
They were giants. Literally giants. Like they made the Neanderthals look like little point guards.
Right.
They were like all like, centers and linebackers, and they were huge.
Yeah, very, very husky people.
Like Andre the Giant size folks, and they were all that size.
Right.
And then there's modern humans, which are kind of like us. And then, the Neanderthals are stocky. I think they were shorter, but really stocky.
Right.
Yes. So, I mean, it's pretty fascinating to think that, because for sure, it seemed that those earlier human species would die out a lot sooner because, I don't know, evolution, man. Adaptation.
It's evolution, man.
Yeah. For example, here, there's this, we're talking about guys like this, with skulls like this. And I'm trying to see who this is here. This is, this is the Broken Hill skull, a replica of the Broken Hill skull. So this is one that they found, or fragments thereof, where they dated it and they said, whoa, this guy should have died out hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago, and he's not that old. And these would be like humans that looked more...
like hobbits.
Animal-like?
Yeah.
Definitely more archaic. The scientific term is archaic human, which basically means, in human evolutionary terms, really effing hillbilly people. We're talking about, let's put it this way, when the Neanderthals saw them, they were like, oh, those are the hillbillies over there.
Right.
That's some heavy, you think that scene in Deliverance is bad. Wait till you see them jumping around.
Oh, boy.
I mean,
Yeah.
And, the brain, the cranium, not quite as adept.
Yeah.
So, scientists have struggled to date the Broken Hill skull, owing to the absence of sedimentary material. Because when you date something, you like to date the fossil, but you also look at where... Big thing how they also determine where it is where is it in the strata.
Right.
Right. So it's like, oh, well, this bit of Earth here was from this time period. So chances are you find fossils in that time period. They're linked,
Yeah.
So, why I never became an archaeologist or anthropologist, I don't know. I really dug it. So, yeah, and it was in Zambia that they found this guy.
Oh, somebody's calling.
My God.
I know, I'm getting inundated with
it was like... I was like...
Anyway.
It was almost like sirens.
That's I have a Scotland the Brave on bagpipes as my ringtone.
Yeah, I could tell. It came over at first like air raid sirens. It's like, oh, good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, it gets in this detail. It was the Homo naledi, and then the Homo heidelbergensis, which is another parlance called Heidelberg man, and they think they're both the same now, kind of the same dude. They're found in two different locations, but same species.
Yeah.
And then finding out that these guys were actually living a lot longer. Dude, that stuff's coming over your mic really loud.
Yeah, it's voicemail now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your mic's picking that up really.
It seems to be a very sensitive microphone.
Yeah. Except
when I'm talking.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Then it's like mute Jason, pick up everything else.
And it's like it picks up the ambient and the background noise way better than the principal.
Yeah, I know. That's what we were like.
Get it. I may have to
working.
go shopping for another.
Adjust that thing. Webcam's good though.
Yeah.
So and then over in like Indonesia, the Philippines, that area, you've got these were the hobbits, Homo florensis and Homo luzonensis, which I think luzonensis was found in the island of Luzon.
Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. Remember they keep finding these caves and going in and going, hey, what's this? There's a cave we've never seen before. And with the computers and all the stuff, you can image, you can do radar and all sorts of weird stuff. And, those old caves and cave paintings and everything, they end up like going, hey, there's another cave on the other side of this wall that's even older. Kind of like the Egyptian pyramids. They've been doing that too.
Sure.
Right? All of a sudden they're like, hey, there's another tomb here,
Wait a minute. Yeah, there's especially in the Valley of the Kings. I mean, they're constantly finding where they thought, no, there's nothing should be here, and they're starting to find, because of the technology getting better with ground radar and so forth.
Oh yeah, so that was the big thing too, that the naledi, the Homo naledi, that they're analyzing the bones, and it's like a jawbone and some leg bones. It was a juvenile, so that says it's actually good because it can tell you, especially if you have another example, you can see how they developed, how many years it took them to develop, and all this stuff. But you can see they're very we're talking. Here's an outline with the bones discovered, and you can see that's an early human, and you can see kind of not too human. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, definitely on the, archaic,
Right.
You'd definitely be like, not inviting, you wouldn't be inviting them to the family picnic. You know what I mean?
They're the third cousins twice removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they you'd be there with the fork and the knife, and they'd be there with the God only knows what,
The shovel.
chasing the cat around,
Right.
And it's like, no, we have Kentucky Fried Chicken here. That's what we've got. We don't eat the cat.
Potato salad bad, cat good.
So the weird thing is that kind of seems like the genome, our genes, are kind of intermixed. So they're trying to figure out, well, what branches? Well, less of branches and more just kind of interbreeding. So the gist of these kind of new investigations are, like with the Neanderthals, it's like, you mean all these weird humans were interbreeding? And it's like, opens up a big lot of questions.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, you're just your average modern Cro-Magnon, or just say Neanderthal, which Neanderthals were pretty intelligent and pretty able.
They were functional.
Next to modern humans, they were pretty good,
Yeah. Yeah.
next to all the rest of them. And, suddenly you bring home, like your this new hominid girlfriend, and everyone's like, oh, dude, really?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll take her over to the river, and we can give her some tribal makeup or something, some berries on the face or something.
Tried a prehistoric makeover.
Is that a chimpanzee or is that your girlfriend, dude? Exactly. No, I mean, So there's all this intermixing, it appears, which suggests a lot of things. And I don't know. I think there's two mysteries here, but the biggest mystery is, why did they all die out at a certain point and then modern humans just pretty much took over the place?
Right.
Because in the earlier ideas of human evolution, it's like, well, yeah, of course they died out. The environmental stresses, they couldn't, obviously you don't get food and you don't procreate, you don't, and you're not smart enough, right? And say this other human comes along that's smarter and more able, they're going to hunt and they're going to take over the resources, and the archaic humans are going to die out in favor of the smarter, more modern humans, right? That's kind of was the story of evolution back in the day.
Sure.
It's not really like that.
No.
It's more like maybe intermixing, and then slowly these other species started dying out. But why aren't they still around,
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, in context of what we're going through right now today, I wonder if it didn't have something to do with maybe disease, maybe pandemic or something like that. And genetics would definitely play in a role. Now, it's just like the dinosaurs. You don't get a picture, like everyone thinks like one day the dinosaurs woke up and the next day they were wiped out. Right. It doesn't work that way. They were around for a long time. They just fell off,
Well, you can also attribute some of that. I mean, history does have some guide points in microfilm to show you just maybe what played a part in it, i.e., okay, remember when Europeans showed up on North American soil, and then we suddenly give the good indigenous people blankets that are just happen to be filled with smallpox and other diseases that the Europeans had been had antibodies over time and built up, but the poor indigenous people never had that, so they millions got wiped out, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so, I mean, I can see through time almost the stew, right? Other species through interbreeding and so forth, picking and getting, I hate to say hybrids, but picking and getting the superior DNA and gene to further the species as it evolves. Whether as some just cannot like an indigenous person who is exposed to diseases that it never could deal with.
Right.
Try that on steroids. And I mean, maybe some of what we talk about over time, a species dies out and another builds, or the species evolves.
Mm-hmm.
Bilbo mates with some other hobbit and some other terrier or whatever, and over millennia, things coalesce and DNA bonds in new subspecies, which are new subspecies. I mean, I imagine that we are only seeing, as far as we find remains of archaic and other past species, we're only hitting the tip of the iceberg. I believe in time, if we stick around long enough, I think we're going to find many, many different variants.
Right. Well, I mean, you're right as far as the idea. So what I was thinking of is, if you're mixing all this genetic material, it may have been advantageous to the genetic material that modern humans had to be resistant against the diseases and that sort of thing, whereas earlier humans weren't.
Right. I think of it almost as building a sword, right? Mm-hmm. Over time, you shape it and define it and temper it over and over and over again as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger until you get the sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's, and I know that seems very simplified, but I see that almost as a macro template for humanity. Things have built, things have coalesced over hundreds of thousands, billions of years, mixing with subspecies, picking and choosing the more dominant DNA, and evolution just has a way of winnowing itself into a species. Now, and also you got to also think about the anthropologists and the archaeologists that find these. They automatically think that, okay, this is its own species. Well, you're kind of taking it on faith that is the supreme archetype of that species when it, in fact, maybe not. I mean, maybe that subspecies had birth defects and or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But since you're can only focus on that one, you have to take on faith that this is the template for its own species.
Well, that's a famous situation in archaeology that happened with the Neanderthals, because the earliest, I remember learning about this in college, the earliest specimens that they had was of an older man who suffered from a degenerative bone disease.
Yeah.
And so when it was first studied, the idea that Neanderthals were knuckle dragging, kind of squatting, almost ape-like, had almost ape-like mobility, had come into the forefold as an idea of what Neanderthals were. And it was only later that they were like, no.
Right.
Neanderthals were not like that at all.
Right.
In fact, we believe Neanderthals were actually rather modern, probably with language. I mean, probably for sure with language. Like, it's a lot of vocal cord type ideas, and with a very vivid imagination. Of course, the idea that they had spiritual beliefs and that sort of thing, which of course is a really important, if you have any evidence of any sort of species having any sort of spiritual belief, customs, that immediately says they have
social, its own social order.
Yeah, immediately means there's a vivid mind and imagination at work in that species.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you go outside and you see a bunch of crows performing a funeral for another crow or something, then you're gonna know, hey,
we may have to reevaluate.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of evidence for that sort of thing. Neanderthals, we have less evidence in these other earlier humans because it's a fossil record. It's whatever got left over.
Right.
It's hard.
But then you run into like Göbekli Tepe, right?
Exactly.
In northern Turkey, and it blows your mind. It makes you reevaluate everything you know about that species at that time.
Well, that was still modern humans, though, of course.
It was, but they had them kind of, barely out of Stone Age.
Yeah.
Very early iron, and it's, very socially kind of, and we find that, the religion and the rights and the social order was much more dynamic.
Yeah, it goes back further than was expected.
Right.
That seems to be all the new evidence. It's like, well, things happened a lot earlier than we thought. And that's a great example of kind of civilization, or I don't think it's really defined as civilization, but it's civilization-like. It's like you built this place and you did stuff, and maybe you brought, the idea is maybe it was an open market or something like that, which meant it was organized, which meant you had to have probably commerce. You had to have organization. You had to have commerce. You probably had to have rudimentary math. Like math all stemmed from trade and commerce, So yeah, I mean, the human evolution story is actually a lot smarter and better than we think. It's just, you don't know if things have died out and then come back,
Right.
and I think it would be wonderful to learn more about Neanderthals and how they socialized, because it would tell us more about how other early humans did it.
Sure.
You know?
The kind of the bad thing is that we can only see through archaeology and anthropology. We can only see snapshots, right?
Yeah.
Still life of what it was. Not. And that's hard. Then it makes it even harder to reconstruct social norms and or breeding and or over time, because you
Right.
can only see these timestamps of one little fossil record.
Well, the best way is when you look at the skulls of early humans, and you kind of make an assumption and determination. Then you look at DNA of how the brain evolved, and that tells you, even with this example of the skulls, that tells you, okay, this individual, this species had this brain capacity, which means this is what they could do, this is what they couldn't do.
Yeah.
Most of the everyday life, walking upright, hunting and gathering, all of that. Hunting, if you think of actually hunting, is a very complex activity, even though a lot of animals do it. But at the level that humans took it up, it became complex, especially when you start building tools and stones and things and to help you. Yeah.
Well, and also tactics, right?
And tactics, yes. Yes.
Strategy that's built over a long period of trial and error.
That comes with the evolution of the mind,
Right.
Like when you start building, it's creativity, really. And if you start building tools, it means you have creativity in your mind. You're visualizing an idea. And you're also passing that down as well. So all of that, remember, human knowledge, this has been passed down to us.
Sure.
Certainly all of this is way before writing came to be. And then when writing came about with civilization, then really, everything was off the charts at that point, because then you could pass down all the knowledge, through symbols,
right,
rather than this guy's got to tell this guy and remember the story, and then when that guy gets old, he's got to tell that guy, and so on and so on,
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I've read articles. If you really want to blow your mind, read articles about theories of the evolution of the human brain. That'll really blow your mind, because then you're thinking, well, there's just a lot of genetics involved, and a lot of things there's a lot of things in evolution in general, like what we're going through right now. This virus, I'm just going to say it, is an RNA virus, right? It uses RNA. RNA is it's like DNA, but it's not DNA. It's actually genetic material that builds the proteins.
Right.
It's basically the transcription that says, it's basically the blueprints for proteins. DNA is the whole blueprints to the entire house, right? The master plans.
Mm-hmm.
The RNA are the little blueprints you hand out to the plumber or the construction worker. Go build a sink. Go do this. Go do that. I'm trying to speak very simply, metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
And so this virus does that. Builds its nastiness using RNA. And it's done through a machine inside the cell called the ribosomes. And they're these structures that are in all your cells. And that's how it works, right? That's how
Yeah.
the proteins, it's like a little factory inside the cell. The DNA, which is your genetic code, is in the nucleus at the center of the cell. The ribosomes are floating around in the cell. Like I said, like little factories. Well, I read an article, a science article, speculating that the ribosomes were actually some sort of genetics, like a species, like an invader into the cellular structure. Like it was like a parasite, so to speak.
Okay.
Like in the early development of the cell. And it
Yeah.
ended up becoming a part of living cells. And of course it was successful and did good things. So it's with us now. And there's also another, and this one I don't remember. I wish I could. There's another theory about the development of the human brain, that part of our brain was the result of some sort of parasitic evolutionary thing that happened that got inside our brain, that then created this part of our brain that does stuff. Very weird. I wish I could remember what that was. And this isn't woo-hoo stuff. This isn't, Leonard Nimoy in search of stuff. This is actually science papers. But if you think about it like that, like evolution, it's like weird things happened. Things got infected. Things got merged. I mean, there are examples of that in evolution. Maybe the ribosome was some weird parasitic structure that ended up evolving into become part of the modern cell structure, and then boom, that worked. You know, I think in like if you look at aquatic animals like worms and like sponges, and there's all kinds of weird colony animals.
Sure.
That I think mainly they're in the sea, where it looks like, an animal that you look at it and you go, hey, that's a living thing. It's like, well, actually it's a colony. It's not an individual. It lives as a colony. Things like that, for example, colonized life.
Right.
So the weird thing about this human evolution bit is that it may have been a really messy soup of all kinds of weird humans running around and then slowly dying out to the point where we were the last man standing, so to speak.
That's right. That's right.
Homo lastus, Homo standus.
Right. Homo exemplaris. I don't know. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. The what is that?
Well,
Survivor, Homo survivorist or whatever.
You're right. Well, let's ask some modern day questions then. That I mean, we look at the past and we see the evolutionary ladder of humanity and different subspecies thereof. Are we still evolving?
Oh yeah, but
but
more.
We don't think of it like that though. We think of this as the end all be all of.
No, we're not. We are still evolving, right. And of course and this is where Richard Dawkins comes in, the kind of lead anthropologist. I know there are people who hate him. Whatever. He's got his opinions on Twitter, just like everybody does, but he's also written books on evolution, and he has standing. But the thing with modern evolution of human beings is we're doing it to ourselves, and that's been we're not just sitting by and letting nature take its course to evolve us, although there are effects that we have. But even then, a lot of those effects are things that we're putting into play in our lives and in our culture that then evolves us to something else. The
Right.
great example of this is right here in front of you. And you need you can think of all kinds of other examples, but you need no better example than the eyeglasses.
Mm-hmm.
The eyeglasses are modern humans evolving a trait. Most modern humans, believe it or not, have bad eyesight.
Sure.
And rather than that dying out in the species, like, oh, you have bad eyesight. You go out and hunt the tiger and get killed, and I don't know, the rest of us that have the great eyesight will be just fine and procreate. Make sure that guy doesn't have a kid first, you know. But instead of that happening, we invented glasses, and probably partially also our eyes have gotten so bad because what do we do with our eyes a lot of the time? Do we go out on the savannah and hunt? No. We open books. We get on a computer and read a website. We've been reading for centuries. And so the trade-off, so is it a good evolutionary trait that we traded off our eyesight to actually end up with bad eyesight? But the trade-off is we read. And we, as individuals, gain knowledge, and we share knowledge, and we read and write, and we progress. That is a classic example of modern human evolution in actually a microcosm, because it's a small, evolution happens over a long period of time, natural evolution. But that's a small little slice of it, very small. But do you think our eyesight's going to get any better? No, it hasn't.
Only through future. I mean, as humans made eyeglasses, right?
Yeah.
Invented eyeglasses. I can see in the future humans manipulating DNA to give future generations better eyesight. They've manipulated the evolutionary process to strengthen the species.
But again, what is better eyesight, though? How do you define better eyesight? So, on the one hand, if I take these glasses off, I go back, several 100,000 years back in time to go hang out with my archaic hillbilly cousins. I can't bring my eyeglasses. They're not going to like me in the hunting. Because they're like, this guy can't see. Do you see that? That's a tiger. Well, I see a dot there. I don't know. This guy's useless. He's useless.
Yeah.
But my eyesight's great. If I need to read something, it's perfectly fine. We have all kinds of surgeries and techniques. My dad, a year ago, had a cornea transplant.
Mm-hmm.
Actually. He's in his 80s. It was completely successful. He needed it. It was in one eye. It was completely successful.
Yeah.
In fact, the doctor said it went really well, went really great. My dad is in a very good health for an 80-year-old, so that's helpful. And we have one of the big eye clinics in the country is actually here in Portland, so that's where he happens to be. I think it's the Schnitzer Eye Clinic.
Casey, isn't it?
Something. Yeah, I don't know. But we're big eye clinic stuff. So there's something else. We just fix the problem and move on. But I have inherited my parents' eyesight. My father actually had excellent eyesight. So I had excellent eyesight when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, at some point in teenager years, my eyesight, I ended up, I can't remember if it's farsighted or nearsighted. I can't remember which is the one. So when you can't see things far off, you're nearsighted, right?
Right.
Okay, that's
Or is it the opposite? If you can't see far off,
no. I think
you're
it's,
nearsighted.
I think nearsighted would be. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you can't see things far away, you're nearsighted.
Right.
If you see things far away, you're farsighted, which means you need bifocals. That's another thing. Most human beings live long enough that when we reach middle age, even if you have perfect eyesight, genetically you've had perfect eyesight, people, when they hit middle age and get older, they need bifocals.
Sure.
They need reading glasses. And that's across the board common trait among modern humans. Now, I'm speaking for like America, Europe, I don't know what it is in every continent, It it may and probably might differ. Like if you're in Asia or Africa or something, it might be a bit different. But we're talking large amounts of the population that go through this. And even if, I have great eyesight, but I hit middle age and now I can't read the page.
Right.
Well, we have a solution for that our brains evolved a solution, and that is go to Walgreens,
right.
Go over to the rack and pick up they're not cheap anymore, by the way.
Reading glasses, I know.
Yeah, pick up some reading glasses. They're not cheap. They are at the dollar store, though. Go to the dollar store. See, they cost $1 at the dollar store. Reading glasses are expensive, though, dude. I looked because I lost my nice ones, and I went to go buy, and I needed some to go buy some, and I only need them if I wear contacts to correct my other problem. I actually don't need them if I'm not wearing correction for the nearsightedness. So but sometimes if I wear contacts and then I have to read something, since the contacts make my eyes normal, I got to like put on reading glasses. Right. And I went there to look, and they were expensive. They're stylish. They're fancy. But I'm just like, I don't want stylish and fancy.
Yeah.
I mean, these are reading glasses. These are the things that you end up, you turn around and you sit down in a chair, and it's like, what was that crunch? Those were your reading glasses. All right. Just like sunglasses. It's like, don't ever buy expensive sunglasses. Because you're going to smash them. You're going to sit on them. Something's going to go wrong. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them.
Yeah.
Which then you have to have the stupid little old person's chain. That's when it gets real, man. That's when it gets real, when you get your reading glasses, and then you have to get the chain for the reading glasses. Right. And then you've
well, see, I've got to baby my reading glasses because my vision is so horrific.
Yeah.
That I can't just go to the off the stand. I wish I could, but I've got to get such a magnification now that very few companies make it. I have to usually buy them online.
Right. Yeah. They don't have them on the thing.
Oh no, it's so. I mean, it only goes standard issue in the store. I think only goes up to 3.
I've seen
magnification.
4, 5, or 6.
Yeah, mine.
I think they go up. You can get them up to 4, maybe 6.
Oh,
maybe not 6 though.
After that, you have to have some sort of. And there are some. I believe my latest ones are 9.5.
Oh yeah. I don't think they have those at the store.
And so my eyes look like huge, distorted, moons.
Yeah.
And,
just take 2 Coke bottles, man.
Right, and I got to I got to baby them because if I smash them, I gotta go.
Well, that's definitely it. And see, my stuff is really mild. So I'm lucky. Even my prescription here, and purposely has kept because it's interesting because when you go there, and if you have one of the good optometrists, they're like, do you want to go there or do you want to go there? They're always giving you the thing. And he's like, well, if you go there, then it's a little bit stronger. It might make you feel better. I'll get used to it. You're kind of fighting this, ramp it up. And I have a thing where both eyes are basically the same, which is really unusual. but it's awesome. Well, if you get contacts or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just one thing. You don't have to have a left eye and a right eye. They're interchangeable.
Yeah.
And so, the doc's like, well, this one eye, you could go a little bit more, and then you have two different ones, or legitimately you could keep them, keep it not just one down, and then they're still the same, and it's like, let's keep them the same, baby.
Right.
Because it's way it's just much more convenient. So I have one single prescription for both eyes. Highly unusual. And it's not very strong comparatively to most people. But genetically somewhere, I got that thing. I mean, I was a kid who eventually, after I learned to read, had the flashlight under the bed at night, right? Read all these books, So, I mean, but that is your example of modern evolution right there.
Yeah.
The prime example.
Yeah,
What do we
power we've even given language to describe it. The word, corrective.
Yeah. Well, so like you said, what do we do in the future with it? Well, we have treatments. We have glasses. We have treatments. Optometry, ophthalmology is a discipline.
Yeah.
We have glasses. You get reading glasses. You can go to the dollar store and get them still. Thank God. Because the other ones are really expensive. I'm telling you, they're expensive. They're fancy too. It's like, ooh, fancy, right? It's like
Designer.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want designer. I'm going to break them. They're going to smell. I lost my other ones. And of course, like you do, then I bought some really super cheap ones, like at a dollar store or something. It's like, well, because I lost the other ones. Guess what? Found the other ones. Then they turned up. Then it was like, oh, it's in this bag. Look at that. There's my reading glasses, my fancy ones.
Yeah.
But you could have corrective surgery. You could have bionic eyes. There would be that robotic kind of stuff, which they have been doing for people who are like fully blind.
Yeah.
There are some. I haven't. In the last few years, I haven't caught up on where we're at with that, but I know a few years back I read some articles that they've been doing some pretty amazing things, like people being able to see, people who've never seen,
right?
Actually see. The whole ocular thing is a whole another weird process. It's not what you think. You always think, oh, it's just like a camera. It's like, nah, it's not anything like a camera.
Yeah.
You're getting all these wavelengths, and it's coming through, and it's getting focused on a lens, and then hitting a nerve, and then the nerve goes up into a part of your brain, and the brain goes, what am I seeing here?
Right.
Is that a car? Is that a monkey? Is it red? Is it green? Then it goes over to another part of the brain and go, what are you seeing here? I'm saying monkey. Okay, monkey. I mean, that's kind of like how human vision works,
Right. I learned a lot through my whole eye thing. I mean, I learned just a whole new world, basically. I mean, I see a neuro ophthalmologist.
Yeah.
And she happens to be the best, not only in Oregon or in the Northwest. I mean, she is the best on the West Coast. I mean, she's top of the heap.
Yeah, like I said, we got like some big eye stuff going on here.
And so the cool thing about her was through this whole bad ordeal, she can't help but teach you, right? This is why it is. This is the yada yada yada. So oh my God, it was like primer 101, survey courses going into it. And you learn so much about, you're right, because you always think, oh, the eye is just a camera and a few, not even close, especially when it gets into the neural part where the brain receives and basically translates, that signal.
And a ton of really the vision, how human eyes work is all about that translation.
Yeah.
And of course that's why we have all the fun like visual tricks. That's why you can do 3D movies.
Yeah.
Because you fake your eye out. You actually don't fake your eye out. You fake your brain out.
Right. Right.
Because your brain ends up processing, going, well, I think it's like this, and suddenly you're seeing like a 3D movie because the wavelengths are getting to your eye at different times.
You're manipulating them, yeah.
It reminded me of a story I read. Just looks like 2 years ago, and it's probably this story in The Verge about scallop eyes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, scallops use 200 eyes made of mirrors in order to see.
Ooh.
You know scallops, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like those little shellfish.
I love them in my shrimp scampi.
There you go.
No.
They're kind of like little flat shellfish kind of thingamajigs. They're kind of flat, and they got a bunch of like not tentacles, but kind of like weird things around the whole opening the shell, and there's little eyes in there. Hardly the most complex of creatures have intricate eyes that work like telescopes. These are scallops, man.
Yeah.
They hope to discover one day and make our own telescopes more powerful. So they're studying these eyes. So yeah, this was a paper. 200 tiny eyes lining its mantle, the outside edge. Ooh, there's a close-up of it. Ooh. Ooh. Each of these eyes contains tiny mirrors, which is different from how most animals, including humans, see. Our eyes use lenses, which is the cornea, that focus and bend the light passing through it. Because you got to focus it, right? That's the problem. That's the glasses. The light is focused in the retina, light sensitive. But anyway, yeah, they have these powerful telescope museums. They got like 200 of them.
Mm.
You know, it's like insect eyes too. They got like hundreds of them, and they can see like 360 and all that stuff. But you're looking at wavelengths. It's all kind of different things. You know, it's not like you see like humans. Like animals don't see like we see.
Right.
Again, this goes back to our brain and our brain processing. You don't set a scallop in front of Casablanca and go, isn't that beautiful how Humphrey Bogart walks off with the scallop's like, what? I don't see anything. What's going on here? I just see a bunch of blurry stuff, you know. Wavelengths, you know. So, I mean, yeah, that's evolution, you know. So in the future, who knows? I mean, right now, people want to wear headsets, virtual reality. So you want your eyes to be good with the virtual reality.
Yeah.
But, you know, people worry about that too. I mean, doctors, people worry about that's all causing problems. When we were growing up, remember? Don't sit so close to the TV.
Right. Yeah.
You'll burn your eyes out. You know, it's like, well, okay, I don't know. But, yeah, so, eyes. I'm still freaked out with freaking ants, man. Oh, yeah, look, they're congregating. Like, what? You know, and it's just all the how, oh, my God. They're all just like, hey, man, so what's going to happen? So here it is right here. This thing's going to have to get shut down. This is a little tiny, this is the first netbook. The very first one. Great little thing. I mean, not very powerful by today's standards, but runs, I got a new version of Linux to run on it.
There
I
you
gave
go.
it a new lease of life. But this was like the first like cheap little book, and it's running the software that runs the mixer board, and the audio is running on here because this thing was just laying around being unused. So it was like, oh, I could run the Linux version, and the software for the mixer has Windows, of course. It has Mac, and it has Linux, and it also has iPad. It has every version of its software. And I like the desktop version a little bit better because you can do a little bit more with it than the Android pad. But
yeah,
I guess maybe we'll have to go back. I don't know. To the Android pad, because these guys have just moved into this nice, warm, freaking laptop. Just like the printer.
You got squatters.
Yep, which means I'm going to have to shut it down and probably open it up and spray it all out. And then it's not going to be able to run in standby mode because it's generating a little heat.
Yep.
That these guys apparently like. But I'll spray it out with the nasty stuff. I don't know.
Sure,
I swear, if I could find someone who had the key to the ants, right?
Right.
And it can't be that hard. Would seem like you could do a pheromone, but maybe, I don't know. This one spray I have is bad, and it smells. It'll make you sick. I mean, it's bad. It smells like petroleum products, actually. I don't know what. There's some nasty chemical in there, which I think it wipes away all the scent and everything, and then it's kind of putrid anyway. So the ants are like, we're not going back there,
That's good visual imagery with our little graphics up there. It says biohazard.
Well, I know it freaks me out. Well, ever since they invaded that printer a few years back, it freaked me out. Have you had that? Like, now I'm not again. Like, okay, someone leaves a donut out or whatever on the kitchen. What's gonna happen? You walk in the next morning and it's like it's overrun with ants, and you go,
Yep.
Well, there you go. You kind of expect that.
Yep.
Don't leave the food out on the counter. Don't leave, especially the sweet stuff, because they like all the sweet stuff, right?
All the sugar, yeah.
But the other stuff where there's no food and it just goes into an electronic thing, that's the one that freaks me out.
Yeah.
And I've read about it, and it's a bad invasive species. They're little guys. They're like sweet ants, or actually they're, what are they called? Putrid or something. Because they have a bad smell. They smell like rotten coconut.
Ah. Gotcha.
They have a very distinct smell. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Those little ants. Like if you kill them, they smell.
They have that, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they call it rotten coconut smell. I don't have enough coconuts, and I don't never have enough coconuts that I don't know what a rotten coconut smell is. So I'll take your word for it. That's rotten.
I take it on faith.
Yeah, it's definitely a smell. It's not. It's not happy, but.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I've looked it all up, and they came from like South America or whatever. These ant colonies. You okay?
Yeah, I got allergies.
And so they've kind of invaded all up the West Coast and all that, and they're bad. You need a mute on your mic, dude. It's like,
I know. Hold on for a second.
I mean, I could mute you here, but now you did it. Oh my gosh. More ants. But yeah, this is one of the coolest. This is one of the worst I think we've done. After doing this for how many years? We've had so many good shows, and it's just like this is what happens as things fall apart in society. It's like we're just it just goes bad. Ants invade. We have Skype issues. Everything goes wrong. So ants. I don't know. Is he coming back? I hope so.
All right.
Are you back? Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to mitigate.
So you're coming down with something now?
No, it's that dust thing I was telling you about, the allergic.
You sure?
Yep.
Because that's the thing, You don't know if you're...
Yeah, no, there was some... it all stems from we have this wind machine kind of like fan thing, right?
Right.
And the wife,
wind machine fan thing?
yeah, it's called the wind machine. It's like it's like a fan on steroids, right?
Uh-huh.
And she the other day cleaned it, and it blew all of this fine dust particles and everything into the air.
Oh, you don't want that to happen.
Ever since then, I've been playing a running battle with, you know. So it's purely an allergic reaction to dust.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't spread the dust around.
No,
Especially now.
It came out in a plume. You know, it hit the jet stream, and woo. So yeah.
You know what sucks? We just got a call and it didn't come through.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we just got a call through NuzBox and it didn't ring through or anything, and and the thing's all logged in and it's not.
Call back.
Yeah, it's not. That's weird. It's not even. Yeah, it didn't. Should ring through. It's all set up. See, again, nothing's working right now. Nothing is working.
Mr. Murphy has shown up on Friday at Murphy's Law. Yeah.
I don't know. I got Do Not Disturb and it says it's not on. Of course, the other thing, who knows? Because honestly, when I go into like everything that's going on right now, here's a good idea. Don't update your apps right now, please. Just wait until we're done with what we're going through, because that's what happens when I go into my phone and I open up the voice thing. It's like, oh, your app's out of date. You need to update it now. It's like, how about tomorrow? How about later?
Right.
That's really weird, man. Got a call. Could call him.
Sure.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
Call him back.
Yeah. So anyway, so bad. Everything's bad. Everything sucks.
Well, okay, what's
Someone just called and it didn't ring through, which it always does. That's how we.
Yeah.
Look. Now look what we got here.
Hey,
they're calling back.
395-5040.
Oops. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello?
Hello.
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 Long-time caller, first-time listener.
Did we lose audio?
I want to know why you guys are lying about distancing.
Lying about distancing?
Yeah, I'm watching you right now live on my tablet, and your Jason picture is no more than 1 inch, 35 fifths away from your picture. You're supposed to be 6 feet away from each other.
Oh, man.
What's up?
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Well, the caller is concerned because we are not properly distanced because you're about 6 inches away from me.
Oh boy.
Those
Yeah.
pictures are too close.
I hope this is a joke.
No, it's no joke. He's very serious.
Well,
And I have another question.
I'm what, 2 miles?
2 miles? Are
No.
you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's got a point.
We're so close. We got now. Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, Jason is in a different state of mind.
That's right.
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count. No. I'll tell you what.
And I have another question.
Okay, here's another question.
Yeah.
If you guys are practicing social distancing, why don't you have masks? The CDC says now all Americans should have masks. You don't have masks on. Even that little Spock bobbin head doll guy doesn't have a mask.
That's right. That's Spock right here.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a mask?
Yes,
No, I
I
don't.
have the mask that's issued by Trump Industries.
Not yet,
I'm
anyway.
currently wearing the Ivanka model.
You're wearing the Ivanka model mask.
That's correct. Now, you guys have been talking about a lot of left-wing politics here, and I've let it go. But I have a question about this evolution thing.
Yes.
Did you know that if you add an R to evolution, you have revolution, comrade?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good one. So
it's looking to me like Saturday night. It's all right for fighting, but it looks like Friday night is all right for fake news.
Hey, do we have a caller?
That's right.
I want to know where you got your medical degree from,
I
Doc.
can't hear the caller.
well, yeah, that's I got the medical degree from the Ivanka Trump Institute. So that should be pretty good, right?
No, that was closed by the SEC last year. You fail more fake news. Hey,
no,
you better
man.
get that Spock a mask on, or I'm going to call the CDC, buddy. Peace.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
All right, take care. You didn't hear that, did you?
Nope, didn't hear any of it.
It's a good call. Good call. The best call. It's a good call. That was a good call. Lots of concerns. That we're not wearing masks.
Mm.
I don't know why you didn't hear the call, dude. During that, I'm gonna have to look into that. You should.
Yeah.
You should be getting. Should have been getting that call. See, there's another technical issue right there.
There you go.
Remind me to look into that. Yeah, maybe the damn ants shut it off on the laptop. No, I mean, we're a lot of liberal politics, because we're talking about evolution, and add an R, it's revolution. So there you go. I do want to get. Now I am intrigued. I would like to get one of those Ivanka Trump CDC masks. Which reminds me, there are masks down here somewhere.
Excellent.
And because actually, if you go down and do this thing, or say you spray ant spray or whatever you need to do, you don't just need it for a virus. Wearing a mask is good. Like I've done a lot of little construction projects and things. What do I have? Got to have the mask, right? Because then you're breathing the stuff in, and then you're like You're like, sneezing and going crazy.
Hacking and sneezing, yeah.
So, there are masks down here, but as soon as this thing broke out, I don't know where they are. So I could be, to this caller, I could actually be accidentally hoarding masks, like two of them.
Yeah.
But he's right though. We should maybe. I hate wearing those masks though. Like when I've done, you've worn masks. Like, do you do like stuff like that? Like, have you like got the Sawzall out and one day
Sure.
I think this wall should move over here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, sure.
And the wife's going, honey, are you sure that's not a bearing wall? That's not a bearing wall. And all of a sudden, half the house collapses on the side, and your kid walks up and goes, Daddy, why is my room collapsed? And you're like, don't worry about it, kid. It's not a bearing wall.
I'll rebuild it.
I'll rebuild it better than it was, right? Well, you wear masks like that,
Sure.
You have to wear masks and gloves, and you're doing all that stuff. So I have all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't breathe that crap in, especially when you're tearing out bearing walls in your house. I didn't tear out a bearing wall, okay?
And then when you get
that's just some construction humor.
Right. And then when you get into middle age, you go through the paneling phase.
Oh God.
You start putting paneling up on everything.
Oh really? You mean like you can't see it right? Like back behind me here?
Right.
Like brick laid back that's you don't see here, but it's back behind.
Well, it didn't affect our generation. I should say it hasn't affected our generation much. But in previous generations, there's something known as the paneling phase when you get into adult middle-aged.
Yeah.
And that's where you go into rooms and just randomly start putting up wood paneling on everything.
Oh, yeah,
including pets, And so...
I know, it's such a look, It's like... we had them in the living room too for years. I mean, it was the classic like double level, kind of built in the late 50s, 60s kind of thing. Kind of cool now, but had the walnut paneling.
Oh yeah.
It was like half of it though.
I'm still very fond of it, because it's so familiar, So when I go into a place that has paneling, it kind of makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
I don't know. When I see the paneling and shag carpeting, it I'm trying to figure out what kind of a mindset it puts me in. That's what
Do you just want to yell rumpus room?
Yeah. Kind of
You
like maybe you're playing in a rock band and drinking some vodka with one of your girlfriends.
Yeah.
That's a very paneling, shag carpeting kind of a moment there. And it's bad because when we were growing up, there were dudes who had vans that had paneling and shag carpeting in the van.
Yeah.
Nothing says dirty white trash sex than having the sex van. Ladies, which will be the title of this episode, the sex van.
The shaggin' wagon.
Little known, I actually just saw here on the science pages, it turns out early humans had a sex van. So that makes a lot of sense as to why we're getting all these genetic findings.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can see it again in human behavior. When you go out hunting, you have the duck blinds, and you have other structures to aid you in certain things. Humans, of course, when trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Went through
where are
a
you
sex
going
van
with this,
phase.
man? Huh.
I mean,
you got into like attract the opposite sex ducks and AIDS, like marital AIDS, right? I was like, I don't know, dude. Have you been ordering? Have you been bored and ordering up on Amazon? It's like, Jason, mallard duck marital AIDS. Don't Google that, by the way.
What I'm saying is hunters build duck blinds and other things to get out in nature and be able to hunt certain things. Humans in hunting the female of the opposite sex have built sex vans.
Hey, that'd be a bitch, man. I mean, really, think about it. Think about it. You're just some male duck out there.
Yes.
Hanging out.
Yes.
Minding your own business. And then you hear some squawks. You see a little thing off in the distance. You go, hey, that's looking pretty good over there. Ha ha. I'm feeling a little frisky. Ready to, and you do the little thing in the pond where you clean off your little, your things, your feathers. And it's like, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna get lucky. And you go over there. And what do? You get your head blown off by a hunter.
That's what happens.
Man, that's a bad day.
That is a bad day.
I mean, that's like being in a single bar and like getting hit on. It's like, oh, lady, oh god, hey, that's pretty good. And it's like you're getting together and you're like, hey, and all of a sudden her husband comes home. Hi-oh!
Things turn south, But that's how we went about it. That's how the humans went about it in the first place, though. To get out amongst the herd, right? You built sex vans.
I think they had shag vans. I can just see the Photoshop for this episode, right? A Neanderthal hanging out of the van, Grog's shag van.
Right, we're all
every night is ladies' night.
That's right, and we're all wearing Ivanka Trump masks.
Oh God, I don't even know what that. I want to know what that is. The masks. I will find it. I was gonna get some masks going, but see, but I went out. Okay, there were people with masks on.
Mm-hmm.
Some, not all though. That's the whole point. I mean, it's like. We either all do it or we don't do it. I think that's an interesting question. It's kind of the callers, Yeah. Like I drove. This is interesting. I'm driving down the street. You know where I saw a lot of masks on that trail down there. Is that, what do they call that? Johnson
okay.
Creek or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big trail. It's really neat. You know, you ride your bike, you can walk, you can go across the river. But I saw people with masks on that trail.
Okay.
You know, and now people are, here's the thing, okay? I have this question. I should have asked the caller this. Now you have a mask, right? And the big thing is, the number one thing is we want to get masks to medical professionals, and that's a big issue.
Right.
They're working every day, and they need protection.
Sure.
And you have a certain type of mask that works, and apparently now those masks that I wear with the Sawzall and the construction, those actually do work, but they're not qualified, so then they're qualifying them. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a mask expert. Right. My mom worked for a dentist when I was growing up. She would bring home the dental masks, the little blue ones. She'd bring them home for Halloween, and I'd dress up as a dentist. I'd wear a mask.
Hey.
Like, that's weird, you know? I mean... You know, look, if I'm going to go out and wear a mask, I'll just, I got a Darth Vader helmet. I just put on the Darth Vader. But you can't breathe in it.
Right.
I mean, it does get condensation. You can't see. You start running into people.
You know, for Curmudgeons Arts and Crafts, we can build some papier-mâché plague masks.
People are making masks. All over Facebook and everything. Like, just today I saw a gal. I think you know her too. And she's making masks. They're all like sewing it. See, now it's Portland. Now that's what I'm saying. You have masks. You have these protective masks, these masks that you used to get at, you know, the store, you know, the hardware store to do your construction work. Then you have the masks that you see medical professionals wear. And now what do we have? Portland, Oregon, artisan bespoke masks.
Awesome.
It's Portland, man.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Now it's going to be fancy. People are taking materials and scarves, and that's what I saw. Like, I drove past this couple. They were probably young. They seemed younger. I couldn't tell because they were wearing masks, but I just sort of guessed by their clothes and how they walked that they were a younger couple, maybe 20s, early 30s-ish, possibly. And they're wearing these fancy kind of masks. Ooh. Very well designed. They're flowing. They look like they're going to knock off a stagecoach.
Yeah, I bet you that bandana sales are spiking right
That's
now.
what they're doing, right? And that's so Portland.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to wear a mask, what are you going to wear in Portland, Oregon? A bandana.
I got some around here somewhere.
Yeah, you know, I used to have bandanas too, but I don't have them anymore. But I mean, it's always like, with me, it's just like, you know, when I see a bandana, it's like, kinky. You know, I mean, it's just, look, man, I've been cooped up a little bit too much, okay?
Outlaw kinky.
The websites I visit are like rerunning the material they're showing me. So I'm like starting to get bored now. It's like, you know.
Right.
I've already seen this scenario before. Oh. Now I'm getting to... it's bad out there, man. So yeah, man. I mean, it's like, you kind of like, you're thinking like a Neanderthal with a shag van. I'm telling you, you're like, oh.
Most build shag van.
Anyway, remember back when we used to get together and, you know, there was an article.
Yeah.
Was it Belgium? The Netherlands? One of those places. Same difference. Belgium, the Netherlands. Same difference.
One of those northern European countries.
No, I think it was the Netherlands.
Okay.
Where supposedly they outlawed orgies of 500 or more. I literally read this. This was in the Facebook. Of course, it was Facebook, so it had to be true.
I bet coronavirus has totally made orgies extinct now with the social distancing. How are you going to do an orgy 6 feet apart?
Of 500 or more.
Right.
I wasn't fixated on that, the orgy getting together. I was fixated on the number. Okay?
500 or more, right.
And like I told the guy in the comments on the Facebook, I said, I can barely find my wallet and keys. This would be very confusing.
Right, yeah. 500 or more. Oh my gosh, that's like a veritable Woodstock, which means I'd have to change the name, and I'm not going to say it on air.
Yeah.
But holy cow, now you're right. Now I had to get in that frame of mind. Now I'm thinking logistics.
It may hit exactly. It turns out that didn't do it, but the way the article was written, I mean, it's like I can't,
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of people. But if we're think about it. If we're cooped up this long as a country, you never know, right? It'd be like, oh boy, virus is over.
Right, yeah. But you know that there's some horny teenager out there that read that article and said, Mom and Dad, I'm moving to the Netherlands. Because anyway.
Dude. I'm just saying.
500 or more.
That's what it said. It said.
So you're safe if you have $4.95.
So it was fake. I didn't pull it up. I don't know. I should send it to you, but whatever. But still,
Yeah.
I mean, that probably was the kind of thing that was going on back, 100,000 years ago. Gronk would pull up his shag van.
That's what happened with
Neanderthal shag van.
People think that Göbekli Tepe was just a huge marketplace. It was, but it was just a giant orgy site.
There you go.
I don't even want to talk about Stonehenge.
That kind of propagates the species, Sorry. Sorry, folks.
That's right.
May seem distasteful, but how the hell do you think we got here?
That's right. We got here through a sex van.
Oh my God. We're just losing it now. We try to keep it on the up and up, but it's gone off the rails. It's just Friday. And yeah, have you noticed people like online and stuff getting all like really like cooped? I mean, it's been what, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and
yeah, about two and a half weeks. People are getting cabin fever.
But here's the thing, like this caller points out though. Okay, over here they're wearing masks. They're standing apart from each other to go to the store. Over here, nothing. No, it's just like another day at the office, man. And the only thing, a few people had masks on, and the only thing was the guy that was there, he was handing out and I wanted a basket. And I was like, basket? He was like, oh yeah, I've just wiped these down for you. Oh, sweet. Now, again, I don't need a virus for that. You could just be doing this full time forever. You could be the wipe down basket guy. I'm cool with that. I wipe them down anyway, virus or no virus.
Yeah, it goes from coronavirus protocol just to good hygiene.
Yeah, just wipe that down, Yeah, I'm fine with that. Normal procedure, but that's the only thing. Then after that, it's like, and this is this store is the one where the people kind of get. Now, it turns out I went in line and no one was behind me, which was pretty fascinating. But this store is usually the place where you get in line and someone's like bumping up next to you and you're like, hey, could you please keep your distance? So, but yeah. No, I mean, they didn't have toilet paper, but they had a 4-pack of tissues, which I didn't bring down here. So I got that. I was like, maybe I'll get the 4-pack of tissues. Because here's a little pro tip, secret. You can use tissues as toilet paper. Actually, you could use a lot of things as toilet paper, but my favorite, I have so many memes. Maybe next week when we really get it together here. We don't have ants crawling around and everything because we got stuff in store. I've got a lot of memes and pictures, and my favorite one that I saw was someone had taken a boxed wine and they turned it over. They just flipped it over, right? Upside down, put it on the counter, and they said, the store was out of toilet paper, but look, I got this cool bidet. It was like, a box wine with the valve on it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good. That's a good one. That's pretty cute. Yeah. So I'm going to do a whole spinner of all these slideshows of all these things that we're sending around. Send around the funny memes. Whatever you do right now. You see something funny, we'll save that, send it to a friend. That's what I do until they tell me to knock it off and file a restraining order. But send those funny memes to people. I love to get them, and I love to send them out because I'm like, hopefully this makes someone chuckle, because you need to chuckle, you need to laugh right now.
Right.
You know. So I've got, like, that's the thing. That's what's, my phone is full because it's full of that crap. All these funnies that I share with people. So anyway, yeah, there's just, see, I mean, unless you want to talk about, oh my gosh, everything in the news, in the main news is, you know, this politics. That weird looking guy now is giving press conferences. Oh my God. It's a weird looking guy too.
Who's this guy?
I'm not going to say.
Okay.
He may or may not be related to the current administration.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Weirdest looking guy too.
Yeah.
It's a weird guy. Like, it's like you thought Mark Zuckerberg looked weird. This guy's like really.
Yeah, he's what are a lot of people saying is
I don't like it. Yeah. And then it's just like, where'd this guy come from again? He just sort of showed up. Oh, no, I'm like here. Oh, good. Oh, great. Anyway.
I refer to him as Special K.
Okay, that's good. Special K. Yeah. Do you know what I mean, though? Weird looking guy.
He's an odd looking dude.
Like, if I were to build an android, that might be what I'd build.
Isn't that like that movie Bicentennial Day or whatever it is?
Oh, great movie. Based on Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
Based on Isaac Asimov's story. Yeah. Isaac Asimov wrote great robot stories. And starring Robin Williams. And Sam Neill. Actually have it. In fact, I saw the file because I'm sitting. I've been doing backup hard drive maintenance stuff, and we're talking big like if you do media.
Yeah.
If you work in
terabytes.
Media. Oh yeah, it's terabytes and terabytes. Like, I've had stuff all over the place, and I can't find things and whatnot. So it was already in the plan, and I had gotten a couple big terabyte archive drives to archive things off and then free up. Like, I freed up a stack of terabyte drives just like yesterday, but it takes forever. It's been taking me days to move off, and then I have to go through and, you know, and it's like, oh, here's all the iTunes music, stuff you used on the radio and everything. That's like, oh man, it's crazy. And so, like, I've been doing all that, you know, and it's just sunk me as far as just moving files around. So when you're in there and you're cooped up right now, organize your files. There's a thing you can do while you're waiting this thing out. File organization. You don't know where all your files are.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know.
Sorry, I got someone moving behind me, and I can see them blurry every once in a while on the background.
There's so much going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Actually, but, you know, folks have been passing on. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Folks have been passing on today. Sadly, Bill Withers.
Yes.
Passed away.
Lean on Me.
Yeah. Yeah, Lean on Me. I posted the one where he from the Old Grey Whistle Test, which was a really good, good number.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Yeah. I had a copy from the. So if you never heard of it before, the big music show in the UK is the Old Grey Whistle Test, and it was a live performance. It was kind of a combination of it was a studio show, so it wasn't like a big live audience, but it was but it was a live performance.
It reminds me of Austin City Limits.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Austin City Limits, sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of their version of it, but not quite as big, like maybe Midnight Special, but not a big audience.
Yeah.
It would just be kind of intimate performance, more like Unplugged or something like that.
Sure.
You know? And, God, I don't know when it started in the 60s, I want to say. But there's just, if you can find, there was a DVD set made of the best of them, and you know everyone was on that show, and there's a great documentary about it too, because the main guy, the VJs, and this was like VJs before really there were VJs,
right?
Because this goes way back, and these were DJs in the UK, and you know how they are in the UK, they're very thorough. They work for the BBC radio. You know, they'll tell you everything. They'll know what B.B. King ate for breakfast when he was growing up as a kid. You know,
right.
You're like, all right, that's an interesting fact. You know, yeah, they know all the facts of music.
So you get a lot of deep background.
Yeah, and so they do that, but there's all these performances from everywhere: blues, R&B, rock, of course. But there's an interesting documentary that in the late 70s, of course, it was, you know, they were featuring a lot of your big FM rock type acts and the people who were popular on FM rock,
Right.
along with the mix of R&B. And then punk came along. And of course, punk really took off. I mean, it took off in London and New York, but you know, punk really blew up in London. I don't know. Do you think did punk really start in London and then kind of pick up in New York right after that?
I think it was totally London born.
Yeah, and then it kind of. I mean, maybe it was kind of cross-pollinated. But when I really think it's like, if you thought, well, what's the birthplace of punk? It's like you're always thinking, well, CBGB is New York City, but it's really London.
Right. The Sex Pistols, the Clash, London Calling, right?
Yeah. I really think it's like, well, London was really where we first start hearing about it, and then American bands you started hearing about.
It right now.
Yeah, you know, Black Flag and all all those bands that played at CBGBs, you know, and like the Talking Heads and.
Sex Pistols way before that.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened with the old gray whistle test, and I don't know if this was on Netflix, it might have been on YouTube, is the whole
I've seen it.
thing where they were the main host and they were not, you know, punk comes along and you're like, what is this? This is not Paul McCartney and Wings.
Right. This is not Johnny Winter.
Yeah, this is not our album-oriented contemporary rock music. These are people taking razor blades to themselves and screaming and spitting on each other, you know?
Wearing barbed wire cod pieces.
Exactly.
Like, wait a minute.
And so what happened with the old gray whistle test is there was this culture clash to the point where there was a scuffle in a bar with these hosts, and soon after, you know, they had to accept what was happening in music, and it really was kind of the decline of the old guard of the old gray whistle test into, you know, and all of a sudden then they have the Police on, they have Blondie, they have, you know, all the, you know, starting in the late 70s and early 80s, you know, in the 80s acts, you know, and they had to make...
Wave.
Yeah, new wave.
Evo.
Yeah. Like I said, one of the first major television performances is the Police. I think they do Roxanne on the old gray whistle test. And if you get you probably get it on Amazon if you get the best of old gray whistle test or whatever. That's all on there. I mean, they got all of it. The story about the Police is that and you probably have seen clips of it. They play live. It's not lip sync show.
No,
They do play live, which is cool.
Yeah.
And with the police, Sting is wearing these big sunglasses and singing Roxanne. Apparently what happened is right before they went on to do their number, they were in the dressing room and, getting their hair done and everything. And the lady or whoever accidentally sprayed hairspray in his eyes.
Ooh.
And so his eyes were just raw.
Yeah.
It was an accident. And so that's why Sting's wearing these giant sunglasses when he's singing, because he got hairspray in his eyes. But anyway.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, some of the best performances are Bill Withers.
Yep.
Ain't No Sunshine. And some B.B. King stuff is really good off of Old Grey Whistle Test as well. And they loved B.B. King. They loved the blues and R&B over in London. They loved B.B. King. Huge.
Another huge one that was much bigger in England than in the States. Wilson Pickett.
Oh yeah.
Huge over there.
Yeah. So anyway, so I posted that performance, Bill Withers there, which I always really liked. I remember when I got this DVDs and watched it, it was like, oh man, that's a great performance. It's just really bad. So interesting that I believe it's Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone. I have to look in my Twitter. A guy I know on my Twitter who is quite the music expert, he posted that was actually the B-side of the single.
Really?
Yeah. And so I thought that was very interesting. So it was actually the B-side, and sometimes, oh look, I think this is the performance. Sometimes there's, and I was going to ask him, I wonder how many cases there have been where B-sides to singles have become the hit as opposed to the A-side, which was the intended hit.
Right.
Wasn't Louie Louie? Wasn't Louie Louie that? Didn't I read that Louie Louie was actually the B-side and people took to that?
I believe so. Another huge one, believe it or not, was we were talking a couple weeks ago, Kiss. Beth was the B-side of Shout It Out Loud, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And that's the one that people listened to. They flipped it over and started listening to... Or is it Flaming Youth? One of the two. But it was Beth was the B-side. And there's also a famous Beatles song that was a B-side. And I'm trying to think it totally. I think it's one of Harrison's songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally took people by surprise, because here they were promoting another single, and this one just blew, blew up the charts.
Yeah, here it is right here on the Bill Withers on Ain't No Sunshine on the Wikipedia. Withers originally released as a B-side to another song called Harlem. Ain't No Sunshine was performed by disc jockeys, and it became a huge hit. Withers first. Harlem was subsequently covered by the Fifth Dimension, which was featured on their Soul and Inspiration album and released as a single. Withers Withers performed Ain't No Sunshine on the Old Grey Whistle Test. It won a Grammy for Best R&B Song in 1972 and ranked 285th on Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest songs of all time. So they even mentioned that performance of the Old Grey Whistle Test.
Yeah.
It's pretty slick too. It's real nice 1970s. He had, what was not on the version that I had, but was on the version on YouTube, is he does a little rap at the very beginning about the song. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
He does this little thing about the song. He's like, well, when you break up, and when she breaks up with you, you get mad, you call her, oh, I didn't like her anyway, but then I wanted to change my perspective of how you feel hurt about it. He does this whole little rap before he gets into the song. It was like, I hadn't seen that part. So they just had the performance on the best of. But yeah, I think I read Louie Louie was also a B-side originally.
Mm-hmm. Kingsman, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, that's the list. Hey, that's the list. I like lists. That's the list we should look up.
B-sides.
Hit. I wonder if we can find it. B-side
Oh.
songs. Huh?
I'm going right now. I'm looking it up.
I got it right here. UltimateClassicRock.com. 20 B-sides that became big hits.
Hey, there we go.
25. I don't know. Well, here's the one on the UK. Let's try this one. 20 B-sides that became hits. 20 B-sides that became hits, sung by special guests on the Scooby-Doo show.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
What you got?
Man. Holy cow. Okay.
There's your Kiss. I got your Kiss right here. Detroit Rock City and Beth.
Yep. Detroit Rock City, right. Hound Dog, Elvis Presley, was a B-side.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Booker T and the MG's Green Onions.
That was a B-side? Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that was a B-side.
I'll Feel a Whole Lot Better by the Byrds, 1965. Here's a huge one. Ready for this? Unchained Melody, the Righteous Brothers.
Whoa.
B-side.
Wow.
There's the Beatles one. That's the one I was thinking of. I saw her standing there, the cover. The Beatles, 1963.
Here's one you haven't got yet. The Doobie Brothers, Black Water.
Ah!
B-side.
Yeah. I Am the Walrus was a B-side too. Beatles, 67. Revolution was a B-side, 68.
Oh, here's one. Gloria.
Hey, yeah.
That's a good one.
Right. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Born on the Bayou, 1969.
Here's a recent one. Here's a recent B-side. Green Day, Good Riddance.
That's right.
Was a B-side.
That's right. Yeah. Here's another one. Huge. Rolling Stones, You Can't Always Get What You Want.
Oh, that was a B-side?
That was a B-side, yeah.
Can you imagine that?
It was the you ready for this? It was the B-side of Honky Tonk Woman.
Yeah, see, that's tough, though. That's really tough, right? Because they're both, like, iconic hits.
Ready for this? Chicago. We were talking about Chicago the other day.
Yeah.
On the last broadcast. Color My World was a B-side.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see. Did it say what the A-side was?
Yes. The A-side was, it was the B-side of two of the band's other hits, Make Me Smile and Beginnings.
Yeah. Beginnings and Make Me Smile. I mean, all hits.
Oh, yeah.
I can see Color My World's kind of an interesting tune. I like the tune, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool tune. But I could see where it was a B-side to those.
Here's a really interesting one. You ready for this?
Oh, I got Color My World just came up on my list.
There you go. Maggie May, Rod Stewart.
Maggie May? Yeah.
Yeah. It was some song called Reason to Believe, and on the B-side was Maggie May.
Beach Boys, God Only Knows. B-side is Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Wow. Yeah. Hey, here you go. Probably one of the biggest, at least in my mind, We Will Rock You, Queen, 1977.
What's the A-side to that?
In the UK, one of the great rock anthems of all time was released as the B-side to We Are the Champions. The two songs were always meant to go together and earn fame as the pair. However, We Will Rock You has become a staple at sporting events, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a tough one. Don't you have a problem with that? Don't you call point of order? Hey.
Well, the radio
Point of order, point of order. Order, order, order.
Ding, 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 ding.
I will not have this order. I declare, this parliament declares that those are both A-side, A-list hits from Queen.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, because the radio always played them as a pair, right? But I guess if you got the 45, A-side was,
Point of order on a technicality. It was technically the B-side. Point of order, the B side. If we read the rule of law, it was on the B side, side B.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Parliament guy.
Parliament.
There's your hound dog, yep. Hello, goodbye. I am the walrus.
Yes, 1967.
B-side was hello, goodbye.
Yep.
Huh. Maggie May, yeah. Rock Around the Clock. Did you get
Bill Haley and yeah.
Did you get
no.
Rock Around the Clock?
Yeah, yeah.
B-side with 13 women and only one man in town. Bill Haley doing the Neanderthal shag van. You know, I think I heard about the Hound Dog one. I think I recall back in memory that Hound Dog was a B-side. Ruby Tuesday. Okay, wait. Okay, Ruby Tuesday, and the B-side was Let's Spend the Night Together.
Uh-huh.
Another Neanderthal shag van tune. Oh, Grok be here. Grok like to show shag van. Grok like Rolling Stones. Let's spend the night together.
Let's spend the night together.
Anyway, yeah. Unchained Melody, you got that one? Oh, how about Pearl Jam?
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Jam, Jeremy was a B-side.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll be darned. Ah, that's interesting. Jeremy was a B-side. To Yellow Ledbetter was the A-side. For years, you had to buy the third single from Pearl Jam's 10 to find this fan favorite outtake. They eventually added it to the 2003 Rarities compilation, Lost Dogs. But by then, Yellow Ledbetter, reportedly one of the first things Pearl Jam wrote as a band, had become a fixer on their concert set lists, as well as number 21 hit on the Billboard Mainstream Rock chart. Huh.
Are you ready for this one? Huge song. Every Day by Buddy Holly, B-side.
Oh, wow.
It was the flip side of Peggy Sue. It was Every Day.
The flip side of Peggy Sue.
Yep, B-side is Every Day.
There's a whole bunch of... Now there's a list of Bill Withers here. Mm-hmm. Huh. Well, there you go. There's your B-side hits.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Wow, it's a revolution.
Oh my gosh! Remember the Four Seasons? Silence is Golden. Was the flip side of Ragdoll.
That Ragdoll, Four Seasons. That's like Frankie Valli, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy. I used to like that. Well, I like the 50s music. We liked the 50s music, 50s, 60s music as kids, because basically it was like Happy Days was on, so kids had a fixation with that back in the 70s. Yeah, B-sides, famous B-sides that got famous.
It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, this is what weird. There's also the B-sides that you've never heard of before. Like this guy who mentioned it on Twitter a week or so ago. He mentioned a Police single that had a B-side that I'd never even heard of. I'd never heard the song before. And I think it was a song that was later... It was a song Sting wrote, but they didn't put on the record. And it was later recorded by... another lady made it a hit like in the 80s, mid-80s. Dusty Springfield, that's what it was. Sting wrote this song, and Dusty Springfield made it a hit in the mid-80s.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, what's it called? And when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that is a Sting song, isn't it? You know, it's got... well, I'll tell you which one it is. And I'd never heard of this before. White. Oh, is this the record? Let's see. Yeah, this is what the heck name of this song? Tracks. Is it I Don't Think We Could Ever Be Friends? Yeah, that's the song. I Don't Think We Could Ever Be Friends. By Jean-Alain Roussel, who played the keyboards on Ghost in the Machine and Sting.
There you go.
And there's actually a recording somewhere that's on some B-side of a Police single somewhere.
Yeah.
And but I'd never heard of it before. But Dusty Springfield released an album in 1982 called White Heat, and it was like I think it was one of the singles off of it.
Yeah, I love hearing about famous artists who wrote songs but were picked up by other artists, and you never, at first you're like, who person wrote that song? I mean, that's one of my pet loves.
Prince. Yeah. Prince is
Nothing
classic for that.
You.
Yeah. Prince. Oh yeah, that and Manic Mondays.
Yep, Manic Monday, the Bangles.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one, in the world is Patsy Cline "Crazy."
Oh,
not many people know that Willie Nelson wrote that song.
It's a great song.
It is, and in fact,
you're right. Willie Nelson. Yeah, well, I knew Willie Nelson wrote that. I mean, you forget about it, but like when you go, "Hey, Willie Nelson wrote Crazy," right? It's like, yeah, oh, I've heard him sing it.
Right. Except when he wrote it, right? It wasn't called Crazy. Believe it or not, when he first originally wrote the song was called Stupid. But the people who wanted to record it for Patsy
it's called Stupid.
Right, stupid for thinking, something, whatever. And they said it ain't gonna work, so let's change it. And so he changed it to Crazy, and there you have it.
You know what? I know that too. Yeah. Isn't there a recording, or is there something out there? I've heard that before. Because it tracks the lyrics. Stupid, I'm stupid for a thing, and yeah.
I think there's an early demo that Willie did that just laid down the track for other people to hear.
Yeah.
And so the world could have known it as Stupid, right? And then just by happenstance, some radio executive somewhere says, "Hey, listen, it ain't gonna work that way. Let's change it to Crazy. I think that sounds better, phonetically over the air when you play it in the song."
I gotta find. Okay. When going through all these files, we're finding tapes and archiving stuff, and one of them was a compilation tape that somebody had made. I mean, this is pure, like, they probably recorded it in their VCR, and it was all appearances by Willie Nelson, like in the 60s, and maybe the early 70s.
Yeah.
On television, singing one of his new songs, and I'm trying to remember what the show was. It was a variety show hosted by a fairly famous country singer, but I can't remember the name of the show right now. If you knew, if you heard the name, you'd go, "Oh yeah, that guy." Yeah. And it was just a variety show. And of course, they'd always have like, "Oh, now here's Willie Nelson," and he always has these 3 backup singers with the bouffant hair.
Yep,
it's brilliant. I gotta get you you'd blow. We're preserving this tape to digital, and I was like preserving it. It's like, what is this? I mean, this is like real grandma stuff here, man. And Willie's just out there, wearing his polyester pants or and the shirt. It's like, well, here's a new one from Willie. He just wrote last week. Okay. And he comes out and he's singing, and he's got the 3 backup singers, the bouffant ladies with the bouffant, Tennessee hairdo. Oh, my God.
I think I know who you're talking about. And the name escapes me, but I got his picture in my mind. He's very tall, skinny, and has a blonde pompadour.
I'd have to...
He's the guy, I think, that also discovered Dolly Parton.
It's not Porter Wagner, no.
Is it Porter Wagner?
I don't think that was the show, though. But Porter Wagner, I think, did have a show. I was always just fascinated by that dude's name, even when I was a kid. Porter. Little known fact, his middle name was Steak.
Really?
I don't know.
Porter Steak Wagner.
I don't know.
And as a kid, people called him T-Bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Porter Wagner. Yeah, no, he's the guy that discovered Dolly Parton.
I don't have it. See, once I get organized, I actually might be able to pull this stuff up pretty quickly.
You want to know an interesting Porter Wagner aside? Interesting enough, Dolly Parton gets big, right? And she wants to go on her own, but she's still under contract to Wagner. So she went home and wrote a song, which turned out to be huge hit, because she wrote that for him. It's "I Will Always Love You." You know, later covered by Whitney Houston and the Bodyguards.
Well, that's. I was just gonna say, you said people who wrote songs made other people's hits. And if you want to know all about that, watch the Clive Davis. Is it documentary about Clive Davis, right?
Yeah.
The record exec. Because he was the guy who had that demo from Dolly Parton, or the song from Dolly Parton, and they were doing The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston, and he was like, "You guys don't have a hit. Where's your hit song from this movie?" They're like, "We didn't think about that." He's like, "How do you do a movie with Whitney Houston and not have a hit single that goes with the, like, that's what you do, right?" I mean, and he's right. He was totally right. It's like, where's your hit? You need your hit song that we're going to promote from this movie.
Right.
Because half the time the movie sucks, but that hit single was like, oh, man, love that single. And so he had the Dolly Parton song, and there's a whole story behind it. And Whitney sang it, and she was like, I like this song or whatever, because he worked very closely with Whitney Houston. He was actually the guy who really kind of brought her to prominence.
National, right.
And that's a fascinating documentary, like the whole like inner workings of the machine that is the music industry, the old music industry.
Yeah, I saw a cool documentary on the machine. You know, like I said, the old. I almost liken it to Tammany Hall, right? The whole machine, politic background, everything of Nashville.
Yeah. Well, he was. I mean, he was that guy. He was that tastemaker. Dude, and the documentary was up there on Netflix. It was really, see, there's a documentary that was really good. You know, and interesting. You know, the interesting music industry. Whether you like it or not, there's just a lot of downsides. Good thing, and of course he, when she died, he would throw his big party that night before the Grammys, and she had died then. Like, they were throwing the party and she didn't show up.
Yep.
You know? And, was it? Yeah, anyway. That documentary and the one about Quincy Jones.
Yes.
Are really good.
One. Yeah.
And the one about that manager, too. Oh, there's another one about the guy who discovered all the bands from CBGB's.
Right. Okay, yeah.
That's a really good one, because it's like the whole history of CBGB's, and he was basically he became the Ramones manager, and he was one of these guys who came out of the 60s, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be the Ramones manager. I'm going to take them on tour. And everyone was like, you've got to be joking. What? Why? What do you see in this band?
Right.
It's like, I like them. They're the Ramones. And he was just the guy who could look at a band like the Talking Heads or whatever and go, that band right there.
Yep.
And everyone else would say, we have no clue what you're seeing. But the record company, he ended up working for the big record company, and he would take these bands in, and the old guys at the record company was like, we don't know. But he brings them in. Yeah. They're a big hit. It works. Do more of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I wish they would do? You know how they did, like we were just talking about here, CBGB's, that whole New York underground scene. I wish someone would do a documentary with that vibe on the Sunset Strip scene in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, all the bands that came out of that stable that went on selling millions, records.
My buddy could write for that, since he went down there and hung out, whiskey and all that, Yeah.
Troubadour whiskey. Who was that guy? Come on, he had his nightclub. Ben Gazzara, but Ben somebody.
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah.
Van Halen used to play there a lot.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's weird that all those bands that, Guns N' Roses, all those guys.
Yeah.
That permeated and,
Actually, that was what my friend was doing. He was like, he'd come up and he'd be like, oh, listen to this tape. These guys are going to be hot. It was like Guns N' Roses or whatever. It's like, yeah, these guys are going to, like, they're tearing it up in L.A. Yeah. And that was just it, right? You just have a place to play. And, but you had to bust your... And the other thing, too, is if you wanted to get a gig, it was like a pay-to-play thing, too.
It was, yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah. No, man. That's not good. That's like, that's like someone, that's like someone performing sex work on you and they pay you. I mean, come on, man.
The casting couch almost, right? Right, yeah.
But it's a different time. We got YouTube and stuff, and we got all these Hollywood stars trying to be YouTubers now. And YouTube promoting them, but
and then YouTubers trying to be Hollywood stars.
Yeah. No. They'll never be as big as PewDiePie. So anyway. Yeah. So that's what's going on in the world. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Low energy.
As we're winding down.
Oh, good. Recommended for you, grease-clogged sewer line causes 600-gallon overflow in southwest Portland.
Oh, nice.
So that happens.
Yeah.
This is for me. Hey, it's in southwest. We're safe.
That's right.
So, yeah. Oh, look at this. The best games of the Trailblazers 2019-2020 season. Oh, dude, the sports thing, that's the thing. America's spirit is... that
is so painful, yeah.
It's like... And they're all playing, like, replays of classic games or whatever, which is fine for... Like, I know that they do that one-off here. Oh, remember this classic game? Yeah, great. But... Sports has got to continue and move on in the hamster wheel of progress there. You can't... No, man. I mean, I haven't looked at anything sports.
I have. I've been on ESPN, and ESPN has basically turned into the classic sports network.
Yeah.
But although they're still going to have the NFL draft, because they can do that almost now on air, where you don't have to have millions of people there.
Bad, though,
and
man.
Believe it or not, right now, kind of the saviors of ESPN and like Fox Sports and everything else, it's the weirdest thing, but is professional wrestling. Yeah. WWE is still going. They just do it from their studio down in Orlando, not in front of...
I heard about that, and I wanted to see that. I did hear that I saw that there was a wrestling match, and I was like, well, I got to see how that works out without an audience. Because to me, it's like, you don't do professional wrestling not in front of an audience. I mean, audience participation is half the gig,
Yeah.
Well, back in my day, you had the audience screaming at the wrestlers and, Bob, and get it on, booing and stuff. I mean, that's just part of the game, man. You got to have that. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, Portland wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Remember there was always an old lady that would
Yep.
be at
In
every
the front
match
row.
in the front
Yeah.
row
Yep.
and sit there. And then when the bad guys would come on at some point, she'd finally stand up and scream like obscenity or bad things at the guy. You know they probably paid her off. She was probably a shill. It must have been, bottom of those guys were like, oh yeah, she probably got a little Tom Peterson money or whatever, because it was pure entertainment to have this old lady get up and, it was like something out of Laugh-In, right? There's a reference, like get your bag. All she needed was her handbag to beat the wrestler over the head. Oh my God, it was great.
Funny enough, I have an answer for
Oh,
that for you.
listen. It was your aunt.
Growing up in where I was in Oak Grove, for many a year, my next door neighbor was actually Mean Mike Miller,
Oh yeah.
professional wrestler, and me and my friends used to go there almost every day. He'd show us the belts and old, at that time, old VCR things of wrestling and stuff. Well, one day he told us, I can't remember her name, but he told me the name of the older
old lady
in the front, and the deal they'd worked out with her, because I guess she'd gone there for like a couple of decades.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I mean, she was a fan, but
Yeah, they gave her the trade-off was that they didn't pay her because obviously Owens don't have a huge
right.
But her seat was free.
Yeah.
It was like season tickets forever. She had
Yeah.
that one seat always there, and that was hers.
Yeah.
And she became some of a cult favorite. In fact, I can't remember who it is. It's not Playboy Bed Rose. It's another wrestler. But if she was not there in the audience, he refused to go on air because it was like his good luck charm.
There you go.
Audience, and I can't remember who it was, but I always loved hearing these stories behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, it's entertainment.
Yeah, and
A little bit more entertainment than other sports. Let's, put it that way. It's like, but he was, she was just like right there all the time, and it was, But I can't. So did you watch some of this wrestling?
Yes, I did. I have. I watched
without an audience.
Yep. Yeah. I get desperate for sports.
Oh, you're screwed, man. You're screwed. I never look, man. I never thought I'd be like, dude, where's the sports? I mean, we were at the end of the NBA season.
Start of Major Baseball.
Playoff positions were at stake, especially for the Blazers. We got the soccer Champions League.
March Madness.
March Madness. We were just getting ready for March Madness, and and especially here, we had like March Madness, the U of O, and the Blazers.
Yep.
The Timbers were just starting up their season. MLS had just started up their season.
Yeah, they're like 3 games into the season.
I know, one of the last places I went to, like actual schedule, like went somewhere and did something, was a Blazer game right before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took my dad to a Blazer game.
There you go.
And it sucked. They lost really bad. It was the Sacramento Kings, and it was a terrible. No offense, but it was a terrible Blazer game. I mean, it was like probably one of, if not one of the worst games of the season. And it happens, right? You're gonna, there's gonna be games where it's like, well, this sucks,
Right.
This one was especially bad. It just, I don't know. They just got off a road trip. Maybe they weren't feeling so good. I don't know, But it was a Blazer game. So.
Right. But I watched. There's like 2 big brands now, national brands of professional wrestling, WWE, and then there's this kind of newer startup company called AEW, which is owned by the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Right.
WWE is still Vince.
Still Vince.
And his family, right? It's like his daughter and.
Oh yeah.
Not the.
Oh yeah.
McMahon family.
Yeah, Shane McMahon and his daughter.
His daughter's like actually runs it now, I think, doesn't she?
Yeah, with her husband. Her husband is a guy who used to be, he's still known as Triple H, right? Real name is
Triple H, yeah.
Paul Leviskill.
Yeah.
He's now kind of the head booker. He's the guy that sees the day-to-day. Her and him see the day-to-day operation of it. When I saw it without a audience, the very first one, it was kind of rough, right? Because there's no kinetic energy.
Yeah, because you're getting the wrestler. You're getting, well, all these sports in the same, the big sports do, right? Basketball, whatever. But wrestling,
right?
It really is the fans. I mean, everything they do in the ring is for the fans, to play for the fans,
Right. But I will say this. As far as the writing is concerned and the storylines or what have you for drama, they are learning. They are much more, if you tune into one of their broadcasts now, camera angles, the way it's presented.
Oh, it's got to be totally different. Wow, I got to check this out. I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, it's now generated for TV, the camera.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like now it's just like a TV show.
Exactly, and it's like I watched this last week because I'm bored, right? And it was much slicker, better presented.
Yeah,
it's like they're learning on the fly
But what is it? They get in the ring and then is it music? Is there a soundtrack like John Williams score? No,
but the wrestlers now are almost, you want to say they're not mic'd up. But they've got a mic there that picks up everything, and they're talking now.
You have to, right, because you have to have something going on.
Yeah, so they're talking, but
you have to have some noise.
Each other. Yeah, the referee is doing some. You've got more people down at ringside, like other wrestlers that are adding to it.
Yeah, and they're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're learning how to do it. And it's getting better.
One of the big things that WWE really innovated with the wrestling was the entrance, right?
Yes.
The entrance, which is just like, it's Roman Colosseum entrance. And they just, that was one of the things that they spent lots of time on, is like, everybody, they got to have the entrance, and it's got to be spectacular, right? And that's all the audience, right? That's all geared.
Yeah, they still do. They still do have the big entrance, but it is more designed for the camera.
To be honest, it's like Young and the Restless or something. It's like a soap opera. There's just like wrestlers are sitting there. It's like, I think I want a grudge match with you. Maybe when Susan comes home, I'll discuss it with her, and then we'll see about the grudge match.
Yeah, it's now it's now the Young and the Body Slam.
Exactly. It's just like a big soap opera. Well, conversations in hallways about how they're gonna pile drive each other.
Yep.
It's like
a lot of that. You're almost getting this voyeuristic camera looking over the shoulder of these guys. They're plotting in the back room. They're gonna go ambush this guy.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because literally, I can't think of another sport that isn't so fan oriented. Boxing too, maybe, and
MMA.
Right.
Violent oriented rather than with wrestling, which is storyline.
Goes back to Rome, baby, the Colosseum, man.
Breads and circuses.
Yeah, that's that's kind of its origin. It was really from there.
I'm going to say something really controversial, but to me, it's kind of other people have said this too. So this is by far not a Jason original. Is I've always thought of professional wrestling as the poor man's Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Right. Because of the archetypes, the betrayal.
I've actually heard that somebody wrote that.
But you get all the archetypes. You get the love, the betrayal, the love, the hate, and it's evolving, especially now with no people there. It's evolving more of a you're right, soap opera. It's exactly what it's turning into.
I got to check a little of that out, because when I heard that, I was like, ooh,
Yeah. But they are learning. And the last week especially, because WWE now, their writers aren't the bookers themselves anymore. They've gone out and they've hired Hollywood writers. So
because they're not working either.
Right. But everything is much more slicker. It's made for the camera.
That's the thing. So, like, I've been watching this YouTube stuff, and they're all talking about all the delays, cancellations, and delays of all the movies. Because, right, movies that would be released in the theater, you got the summer blockbusters, you know, that they get butts and seats in theaters. All that stuff is pushed out. Like Disney, you know, all the ones that put out the summer action movies, animated movies. One of them's going to Disney Plus, to the streaming. So that's been the speculation, is things are going to get pulled into streaming. Some of those things that would go out in the theater.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman movie is like
1984
anticipated follow-up. That's pushed
Top
out.
Gun.
You know,
Top Gun.
Yeah.
Well,
early on, very early into this, James Bond got pushed out. You know, so all these movies are at best fall. And I don't know. I really don't. This thing is I don't know. I don't have a good. I can't predict how this is all going to work out. You know, I don't know how long these conditions are going to be, you know, like stay home or, you know, I just don't know.
I wouldn't say the only thing I'm willing to publicly declare, I guess, is I think it's going to be longer than what most people think.
Yeah, I think so too. The worry is you know, second wave and that sort of thing.
And the mutation of it.
Yes.
That one article you sent me with eight different, you know, strains.
Yeah.
That scares the bejesus out of me.
Well, but the thing is you don't know if your immunity
can
handle, you know, different variations, different strains, which it might be able to. So no, like,
right.
You know, don't freak out, you know. But
right.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem in this whole situation for me is testing.
Yeah.
And having it all isolated, the science side, you know.
Right.
The part where it's like, okay, we can properly test people. Have people been exposed to it? It tells us a lot because, you know, the biggest thing is going to be immunity now. Mm-hmm. And if people, the thing that frustrates me is if people, and there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people in Oregon, a lot of friends on Facebook who are all pretty ill a couple months ago, and we don't know. It's potential that this thing was out there sooner. We don't know, okay?
We don't know, yeah.
We don't. Indication is it wasn't, but we don't know, you know? And we need answers for that stuff, and it's all science, medicine answers. Not political, just straight ahead answers.
Hard science, yes.
So then we need to know who's now immune, vaccines, which that takes time. So that's problematic. But if we could find out that people are immune, you know, have had it, have gone through it, have some immunity, and that immunity will stay, well, then those people can go work. Those people can help, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if I knew that I was potentially had it, and that I got over it, and that I have the antibodies, and I'm generally immune to it, so I'm cool if, you know, if someone could not it doesn't have to be 100%, just kind of like, yeah, you're probably going to be okay. You've got, you know, that's good enough for me. Like, I would go out and volunteer or something, you know.
So
I would be okay, dude, cool. As long as I know I'm pretty good, let's get out there and help everyone through it and get through this, you know.
Right.
And so, and with the stuff that's going on now, with what's happening in New York City, super, super scary.
Yep.
You know, we just don't know all the factors. And all that unknown, like you're saying, is, how do you say, okay, next week we're good?
Yeah.
Buddy, there's a lot of unknowns out there so far. Yes, there's a lot of people walking around, a lot of people at the store and stuff. A lot of people were fine. Still the majority of people are fine, going to be fine. We're going to get through this. But, the people who aren't, there's a lot of bad, scary stuff going on out there. And I'm seeing a lot of people in my feeds, my social, my Twitter, mainly my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks are having elderly people in their family passing away.
Yep.
And it's because of this.
Yep. Complications due to.
Well, that's kind of what it ends up being, right?
Yeah.
Because body's reaction, and then,
Yep.
And we're not going to go into the science of viruses and stuff. We talked about the ribosomes. Talked about the RNA. That's good enough.
That's right.
But, so there's all these unknowns. And then, like you said, mutations and it picks up again, new people get infected. So there's a lot of these unknowns, and we have to kind of get a handle on that.
Right.
And it's not going to be 100%. You don't get 100%, but get at least a handle on what's going on. We don't quite have a handle on it.
No, we need to see that plateau and the flatlining of it.
Not just the United States either. This is a world thing going on here.
Oh, by far, yeah.
Yeah, we're not just Italy. I can't remember France or there's a couple other places that are getting hit.
Sure, Germany.
Germany, yeah. Well,
Italy,
Germany was looking good at first, right?
Now they're picked up a little bit.
Exactly.
South Korea. So
we need to get all that science and medical knowledge in quickly and figure it out, which we will. We will. That's the thing that's frustrates me, is that we will get a handle on this. We're smart as a species. I know it doesn't seem like we are, and I know people on Facebook are like, I get it, right? But we really still are, and we're way better off scientifically and medically today. You want this happening today, not 100 years ago,
right? Not
50 years ago, not even 20 years ago. We know so much more now,
right?
And we've got so many tools, but we got to get a handle on it.
Right.
So that's that whole thing, is when do things get back to normal?
Define normal.
Right? Exactly. Like you said, it's and what I'm thinking from the standpoint of what you're talking about is it's going to be longer. When can people go to a movie theater to go see a movie? When can they go to the Moda Center and see the Blazers or the Timbers at the state? When can they go to a concert?
Yeah.
When can they go to church?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of these things are like.
One thing I've been thinking about, and I wouldn't say afraid of, but one thing I'm concerned about, and the one thing that I'm watching, is how this is going to fundamentally change human social patterns, as in the use now of technology, people getting their movies. You saw the advent of Netflix and stuff, growing them out. Is this going to be the catalyst that but that kind of does away with the old theater system?
I don't. Maybe to a degree. It's like what I was bringing up earlier about evolution and the dinosaurs and going extinct and stuff. And one of the things they pointed out with the dinosaurs is that, you had this cosmic impact that caused a climate change on the Earth, right?
Sure.
From asteroid, heavenly body that hit the Earth. But previous to that, the dinosaurs were stressed already as far as environmentally. So that just was another nail in the coffin.
Right.
I think that's the case. Straw. I think that's the case in the movie business with the theaters and all that. They have already the economics of it. You know, it used to be like a blockbuster like Star Wars or whatever, right? Used to be, it's like, okay, I want to go see it the opening week, the opening weekends or whatever. What would you have to do? You'd have to stand in line for tickets. You'd have to stand in line for the theater. You know, it was really a limited thing.
Yeah.
And so there was high demand.
An You're right. It was an event. It was a social event. You know, we go there opening weekend.
But there's plenty of tickets been available for these things. You know, I think, you know, maybe like Endgame or whatever was sold out mostly in the first run or two. But pretty much there's all these theaters. It almost seems to me like there's this glut of theaters. Like when I look around the Portland metro area, it's like, wow, there's a lot of these cinemaplexes, and are they really bringing in, you know, and they're all like multi-screen, are they all bringing in that many people? And they're showing, they're showing how many screens do they have the blockbuster on, but then they have to show the B movies that people may or may not go see. And, you know, part of that is Hollywood's kind of shoving that down their throat, too. It's like, well, we'll give you this movie, but you got to put this movie on the screen, you know.
Right. Each studio does that.
So, to me, it's like the economics of the movie theater seems pretty messed up today in light of streaming. Yeah. There's definitely movies you want to see on the big screen. Definitely seeing so I'm not saying it's going to go away. Boutique theaters, I think, are the thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm a huge fan. Actually, I'm a member now of the Hollywood Theater.
Excellent.
I don't see that, and that's a nonprofit organization. I don't see that going away. They do first run, like more art house first run stuff. They also do a lot of movies and things that you might never, and it's a theater experience. They're there for film. That's not going to go away. That's part of our culture. Cinema 21 is another one, at indie art house. So those little art houses, they have actually built their economic model around this as well.
Yeah, I'm more thinking of the generic Regal Cinema.
Well, but then there's that. Right, me too. But then there's the other, which is these living room, I think that's a brand name actually.
Yes,
living room theaters or whatever.
McMinimans is famed kind of.
Right, the McMinimums kind of started that with like the Baghdad Theater and the Mission Theater and all that. It's more of a place where, you know, you have a restaurant and a brew pub in the theater, so you can go watch a movie and you can eat food and drink beer or wine or whatever. And I think those are popular too. So that kind of thing I could see, you know. But you're right, these really big cineplexes, up before this, I don't know how they stay in business. I mean, because the demand, it seems like, well, lately it's been like, well, I can go here, or I can go to this one over here. How far do I want to drive?
Right.
As opposed to, you know, maybe having a higher demand. It seems like there's an oversupply of movie theater screens. Right. Which is a problem for that business.
But I'm really interested to see the Hollywood, I'll say Hollywood is some just amorphic sort of being, their response to this. Because, I mean, they're going to have to release them somewhere. Do they make deals with, you know, Amazon Prime and or Netflix and or stuff, or do they start their own?
But that's what's been going on up to before this situation, pandemic, where you can't go out publicly and do this. Before that happened, this was the year of the streaming wars, of all the studios setting up their streaming. Disney Plus, CBS has theirs, you know.
Yeah.
And of course you have Amazon, you have Netflix, Hulu, NBC, actually one that people don't talk about a lot. What do they call it? The Peacock, I think it's.
Yeah, that's coming out. Yeah, that really comes online here this summer and in the fall.
NBC, HBO and Warner Brothers, theirs, the HBO, they're using the HBO branding for that.
Yeah.
So that's what we were going into anyway. So this is, you know, streaming's where it's at. You know, home theater and streaming's where it's at. So I think I would think that it's going to really impact all those cineplexes and stuff. So, you know, maybe we see like down the road here, like a lot of shuttered Cineplex buildings, which I remember happening years ago when I was a kid. There was an economic downturn, and I remember like all the big
Southgate.
Yep. And I remember it like got shuttered down. It was like, oh, that was the big Cineplex theater we'd go to as kids. You know, we'd always go there to take in a new movie, and it got shut down, and so there was kind of I see that direct. You know, but again, all that, right? So you can see that happening in entertainment, but sports, live sports, are people not going to go to sporting events? The fans love to go to their sporting events, right? So how could that impact sports?
Well,
You can't,
I think boxing, MMA, and wrestling can be more geared towards being Hollywoodized.
Yeah,
right?
but you know,
football.
all the sports,
What do you do with
football, NFL,
Major League
NBA,
Baseball? Yeah,
baseball.
What do you do with that?
Yeah.
In fact, I was thinking about that the other day, and I can almost see that. What if in the future?
James Caan comes out and rollerball. Rollerball. Check it out. Check out Rollerball.
What if you had a
Great
virtual
sci-fi movie.
You know how in the movie it really got started in that movie Gladiator, where Russell Crowe, when they had the CGI crowd.
Yeah.
And I wonder if something like that isn't going to start happening.
That's what I would think about for wrestling.
Yeah,
it would be perfect for WWE, and the technology is just kind of coming online that you could do that.
Right. Create an artificial kinetic energy.
Yep. It would be actually I thought about that too, and you're absolutely right. And I think wrestling would be the one that would be perfect for. You know, with like the team sports like NBA and all that stuff would be a little. I mean, it would be more like, you know, then you're just in like the EA Sports package, right? And then it gets a little weird because you're like, okay, why am I watching the NBA when I can just fire up my Xbox?
Right.
You know, but for something like wrestling, I could definitely see where they could do that. And the technology that's just coming, I mean, it's been around, but is just really hitting production in Hollywood right now, is the type of technology they use this on the Mandalorian TV show for Disney streaming. They're using, I guess they used it for a little bit for Star Wars, so Disney's been using it, and you're seeing more of it. And it is a live action CG.
Ooh.
And it's driven by one of the main big companies, and you can go up and watch YouTube demo videos on this, is Unreal Engine, which is the software that powers like gaming environments. And so rather than a green screen or whatever, you actually have screens, like real high, super high def, you know, 4K, 6K, whatever screens.
Yeah.
And you're projecting on those screens the CG environment.
That's amazing.
And then you have the live action in front of it. And the difference is all the calculations, what the Unreal Engine does is it moves the scenery with the live action and the camera shot. So back in
That's
the old
amazing.
Hollywood days, right? What did they do? They'd set up a sound stage, and they'd put like the rocks and the western trees and stuff, and then they'd have a scene by the campfire in the western. Well, it's actually in a sound stage, and they have a painting in the background, which is the clouds and the stars, and then the mountains and stuff.
Right.
But it's static. You can interact with it, but it doesn't move. It's only this box that you can work with it.
Right.
With CGI, then you shoot it on green screen, and then you take it into a computer and you manipulate the whole background, the whole CG background with what's going on with the action.
But real time.
Right. This does it real time as the actors are in the scene itself. So you see the whole thing happening all at once. It's a great. You look up Unreal Engine on YouTube, and you can see some demos of it. They, and it's a small sound stage. They got like a guy with a motorcycle. If you see the one with the guy with the motorcycle, like they're filming a motorcycle commercial, and he kind of is in on the motorcycle, and they're panning the camera around, and he's up like in the mesa, then the mountains or whatever. And it looks great on camera, but it's all a virtual set. So something like that technology in
tailor-made for something like
in a stadium type. I mean, you wouldn't. You also wouldn't need to do it because it would be very hard to do it at scale, like in a stadium. So you could do it in a smaller space, but the depth of
but with
field,
a ring. Just like a wrestling ring, it would seem huge, but still the area itself around the ring isn't that big. So you can easily...
I got it. Here's another one of our curmudgeon ideas. We are going to do the wrestling network. Maybe we'll just pitch it to the Vince McMahon. But what we'll do is we'll do the Unreal Engine. We'll get it all set up. It'll cost millions of dollars, right? So we need investors. Give us a call. And we'll do the wrestling, but we'll set it up. We'll do it in the Coliseum. Like in the Roman, we'll have the Roman Coliseum. Right there.
Can you imagine anything? Yeah, you could put any background so you could do over time, right?
You could have wrestling matches anywhere. You could have a wrestling match in the Coliseum.
That would be fantastic.
A modern wrestling match,
Yeah.
You could just have all these weird locations, You have a wrestling match on Mars.
That would be Red Planet Rumble.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I have like little Kerbals in the background as the audience.
Right.
Wow. But anyway, that technology is here now, and I could see that totally getting adopted for that sort of thing. Wrestling, I think, again, that could work. But then it's really highly scripted and all that. But then again, it always has been. But basketball, NFL, football, and all that, you can't do a virtual audience for those.
Boy, I don't.
You can't.
Yeah, because the screen itself, you would have to. I don't know.
It's you have, like I said, you have those games already. You could watch on your Xbox.
Yeah.
Play your Madden or whatever.
So,
there you go.
I don't know. NASCAR has been doing that. They have virtual races now where they'll actually take...
I saw that too, and I haven't watched it yet.
The drivers.
Have you watched it?
I have. It is eerily real looking.
Okay, so, see, this is the stuff I need to get caught up on. The wrestling and the NASCAR, because I saw both of those. Otherwise, I've been avoiding sports because nothing's going on, Not anything I was, tracking at the time.
Yeah.
So are they like driving Xbox car? I mean, are they?
I saw this. They had a segment on ESPN where
are they doing like esports? They're doing.
It's called iSports.
Yeah, well.
And when they brought Dale Earnhardt Jr. out of retirement to do this, since he doesn't actually have to get in the cockpit, and behind the wheel, he can actually do this. And it's like this
Yeah.
Of course, there's a steering wheel.
It's
but
esports, basically.
Yeah, it's almost got this artificial dashboard, right?
Yeah.
That obviously has all the software and hardware and stuff.
And of course, this really, that's the other thing, because people, I never would have predicted, but esports have become a big deal online. Esports is huge now. I remember sitting in the corporate room and people were like, we're going to get into this esports. People are going to like computers. And I was like, really? It's going to be just like sports. And I'm like, but sports is like guys crashing, smashing each other on the field and balls getting thrown and stuff, not nerds sitting in front of a computer. No, it's going to be really big. You'll see. And it was. Yeah. I mean, no argument there. I was just like, wow. And what's ironic is a lot of guys, off-season sports guys, get into this.
Yeah.
The off-season. So that helps too. But I was always just like,
evidently,
it'll help sell computers. Well, if it works, it will help sell computers, won't it? But I'm just like, to me, okay, just watching someone play a video game.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not the age. And I know it's a thing. I'm not denigrating. It's just something that it's another generation's thing that I don't get. It's just not a thing for me. But I'm not dissing the younger kids who dig it. I get it. There's stuff there, and the people have personalities, and there's reactions and a lot. I've seen it. I've watched it. I get that there's something there. It just doesn't speak to my generation. Speak to me. It's just, I mean, I could get into it. I could work on it. I would happily, work with folks and do stuff like that. Fine. But, if you say, well, do you enjoy this in your leisure? It's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
Could listen to a Miles Davis record instead, it's like, but anyway, so esports is fine.
Yeah.
There's no impact to esports.
No, not at all.
I mean, they do get people together in a room, and if they have to social distance, well, it's all computer based anyway, baby. We could move those workstations away. We could have guys in different rooms. It's all virtual anyway.
The funny thing is, one thing I learned on that segment on ESPN around NASCAR was that that software to do that has been around for like 7 or 8 years, and that's what the NASCAR drivers do to train when they're not actually behind the wheels.
Right.
They do, and they just expanded it into like a network sort of thing where you could actually have all the other drivers at their little consoles doing it in real time. And the graphics, man, I got to tell you, they're eerily real. And,
I got to check that out.
Yeah, it is incredible. At first, I thought it was a real race. I mean, it looked real,
Yeah,
reality.
it's, you know what? It's right here. I did look it up as you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Reality Engine is powering Fox. Yeah, it's powered by Unreal Engine. What I was talking about, that technology, which comes out of the computer CGI graphics world. Because in your player, in your game, right, you're moving around with the guns and stuff, and your world's moving with you, it's all powered by Unreal Engine, this major investment in state-of-the-art Charlotte studio sets, Fox Sports, most advanced studio for... Oh, this is the studio for NASCAR. I remember seeing this, one of the last NASCAR things that I watched, which was one of the big things. Their virtual studio is Unreal Engine. Yeah.
Right. But they're learning now. They're learning how to tailor it and change it to where people are off-site.
Yeah.
And the networking is just, it blows my mind.
I mean, coming from a technology background, none of this is surprising. It's there. It's just power. It's just, do you have the power? Do you have the connections? Do you have the technology is there now? So that's all happening, and that hastens that. What we're doing now hastens that. Yeah. And I get that. I'm like, that's what's been going on, and now that we have this, guess what? Everyone's live streaming now. Okay, wow, there you go. And everyone's finding, the security issues in Zoom. Be careful out there when you Zoom. So, but the thing that I'm still curious about is what you're going to do. The biggest impact is NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, the Olympic Games.
Yeah. Yeah.
That have been postponed. The real spectator sports where you always have spectators there. And even though your best seat, and I've always said, your best seat in the house is always the one in your television.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the production values of live sports is amazing. I mean, even I'm always like, hey, live sports today is just excellent video production. It's very, very good. The stuff they're doing with the technology and the cameras and everything. But the stadium's still full. There's still people in the stadium. There's still fans. Still people want to experience the tailgaters, and it's a whole experience, right?
Right.
What's going to happen with that? That's the real question.
That is a very good question. I don't know.
And then that's also live concerts. Coachella. Was Coachella canceled or postponed? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know it's at the least it's suspended. I think though it's been canceled.
Did they do that? Did they postpone?
South by Southwest has been.
Yeah.
Canceled.
Did they postpone or cancel the one out here? Or our big festival, the big one, the Pandaras. No, the one out on the farm, out here. Think about it later. But anyway, but like
Guitars Under the Stars?
No. Can't think of it right now. But
The
those
Hairband one?
No, it's not. It's kind of like country, but not really. It's been out there forever. It's like the big music festival that we have. The big one.
Yes, the one out in I think the little town, isn't it? A little town called Brownsville.
I don't know, or is it
out there? I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. We got a lot of them now. But those shows, those big shows like that, that's the other one. Big sports, big shows. This is stuff Unreal Engine isn't going to solve.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, you have, and concerts are movable, right? They're at event spaces, right? They're at places that you want to go and travel to.
You know what I could see? Just off the top of my head here, what I could see is you go to a place to where you're alone. You're like in a booth, right? Each person's in a booth, a giant warehouse. You got all these booths, and so you can have people go in and stuff, so you can still have social distancing. But it's a virtual booth, almost like a holodeck, almost. And it's a virtual reality booth that puts you in the concert or in the sporting event. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know how you would immerse yourself into that interactive, sort of paradigm to feel you're part of it. I could see that though, and it's sort of like a booth, and all sides of you, 360, is all virtual reality. And you're sitting there in your concert seat and you're watching the concert, and all around you, you have crowd, lights, everything, the total package. I could see that. And they charge, of course, someone's got to make money, so they charge you for the ticket, So I don't know.
The one I was thinking about was Pickathon. It's in Happy Valley, I guess.
Gotcha.
That's where the farm is. But I don't see anything on their website that says it's been... But it's in August, is it? Might be, people are still kind of holding out, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. I didn't have Pickathon. The one I was thinking of when you said country music was that one that's out in the middle of nowhere. It's like the Northwest Country Music Fest or something like that. And it was just over the last couple of years, just starting to attract, the real national.
What about all the like county fairs? I mean, these are all things that are made for people to show up.
Yeah.
You know.
The Rose Festival, what happens to that this year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing on their website yet. I know it's later in the Pickathon is later in the summer. I want to say isn't it like August or something like that?
Yeah, I think at this point they're just waiting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, it might be, which I don't know. I don't know if we're back to that by that time frame. Like I'm just saying, and I like being positive, and like I said, we're gonna get through this. I'm positive of that.
Oh, sure.
But to say, well, let's put a prediction that everything by end of summer is going to be great. It's like, I don't know that I could predict that, put my finger on it. And talking about stuff like what we're talking about right now. Let's all go to the soccer match. Let's all go to, the outdoor music festival.
Yeah.
And congregate.
Yep.
But,
that's not, I can see, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I could see that you have to observe the social distancing rules or whatever. But you show up at some like warehouse or something, and they usher you into your own booth, virtual booth.
But what's the difference between doing that and doing that at home? See, that's where it's
hardware and software. You'd have to have something encompass you, like a green screen almost, that puts you in the. Or if you had goggles, you may,
But people are getting more and more of that, and getting more of that into it. So a lot of people are doing that now.
Yeah.
So but you're right. I mean, it's like you could have a place where you go that's decked out in thousands and thousands of dollars of hardware that you don't have at home. Virtual reality suites or whatever. Yeah, I can see that. But again, I'm just thinking of this whole idea of going to a place, like going out to a farm. It's like we go there every year with the family. We camp out. We go to the music festival. We hang out with people. We hang out with other people, families, whatever, friends. That whole thing, that whole social interaction. That's what I'm curious about. What's that going to look like throughout the rest of this year, next year? And that also applies to the sporting events, too.
Yep. So, such a paradigm shift.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, can you do, say like I don't want to pick on Pickathon, but I mean, and they live stream their show. They've been doing it for years too, by the way. So you actually can watch their show live. I've never been there. I've seen their show live on the stream. But like something like that, like a big outdoor festival, could you do that, but kind of do the social distancing, maybe wear everybody wears, maybe you get your Pickathon mask or whatever, like branded, like you get your own mask, and then you please distance yourself, from other people. Like don't crowd, you can't crowd up at the stage. Maybe you have like some, some crowd control kind of things so people aren't like crowded at the stage like they would do at concerts and music festivals. Well, we don't do that anymore. Got to spread it out.
I don't know. It is one of those things that's the great unknown.
But you can't do that in a stadium, though. Stadium, people are sitting next to each other.
Right. How are you going to fix that? I have no idea.
So those are like big questions about that. And that's not even addressing economic things, which I think are just scare the crap out of me.
Right. Yeah. Most people are talking, the physical viral end of it, and it does concern me and stuff.
But that's.
But I look at the world economics, and you're right. That scares the.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. TGIF.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the stuff that I'm thinking about. Relates to sports and entertainment. So, the one thing I do know is I don't see a magic wand being waved, and it's like, okay, let's go back to normal. Which I hate saying that. Yeah. I would prefer that.
I would too.
I mean, look, I'm not a big crowd person.
Right.
My days of going to big concerts and stuff are over. I just have no interest. I was always like, you're going to pay how much for a ticket at these ticket prices
I
to
agree.
crowd in with thousands of people. No, I'll just go watch videos online. I'm that guy.
Yep.
Now, if you want me to go to a concert in an intimate setting where I could sneeze on the performer, I could
Right.
cough on them. No, bad idea. But no, intimate setting where I can really get into the performance and everything. That's where I'm all about that. But you're still crowded around. You're still in this small venue. You're still crowded. So it doesn't matter if it's a big venue or a small venue.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like you'd be in a small venue, 20, 30, 100 people, whatever. Well, some person's sick or whatever, or the server is, infected with something. Guess what?
Yeah, you gotta watch out for pyro and phlegm.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, that's just all the entertainment and the sports and all the economics of that. And then the other side to it, if you whittle down to a small venue like what we just brought up, then you're talking restaurants and bars.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we'll probably attempt to open things up.
I guess it depends on the public perception of any sort of vaccine and or fix.
Yeah.
To it. As long as there's a great unknown, like am I gonna, if I go out, am I gonna contract it, or am I going to carry it to somebody else? That's going to shift.
Like I say, I could see trying things like the music festival or something like that that's outdoors, that it's kind of like, well, if we kind of do keep our distance and people wear masks and are cool about that sort of thing, do some disinfectant stuff, maybe that works out okay. I don't know.
Maybe, but then you run into need versus greed, because if you're social distancing, you can't fit as many people in there, but the guys who are underwriting want as much money as they can humanly possibly get, so they start cutting corners.
Right.
And that's
yeah, the economics. Well, and that's the other thing too. Another thing too is the whole event, just the event industry, which has been like everyone in the event industry is now not working. Conferences, not just concerts and stuff, but conferences, professional conferences, those are big, you go to different cities, if you have one that you go host a different city each year, or Las Vegas, trade shows.
Right.
That's huge.
Conventions.
Las Vegas apparently is like a ghost town now.
Wizard World Comic Convention.
Yeah, they're Comic-Con, the big Comic-Con is San Diego, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think the New York one too.
Yes.
I know Emerald City too is a big one up in Seattle. I guess they still maybe haven't announced. I don't think because Comic-Con San Diego is like again later in the year.
I believe July, right?
Maybe. I don't think or what I'd heard last is they haven't had any news on it yet. Like they haven't said it's postponed or canceled or anything. But I wouldn't hold out a lot of hope for. I mean, at a minimum, stuff's going to get postponed. I think expecting some things getting canceled, which is horrible, mainly horrible for the people whose jobs it is, who rely on that and make money from that. Like that's how they make their living.
Yeah.
It's horrible for them, but I wouldn't. Don't be surprised if we get a second wave of cancellations in the next month or two.
I agree.
Yep.
Because once you start getting past late April, early May, there's your Rose Festival right then. You've got to have some sort of a promo season for it if you want anyone to show up.
Well, that's the other thing too. And even if you.
And do you want people to show up?
If you hold a conference or hold a festival, are you going to sell tickets? Are people going to show up?
Right. And if you do, how can you keep social distancing? The rules that the CDC has handed down.
Right.
How can you keep that if you have, like in the Roast Festival, you have that long, almost midway?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like in any auditorium, you're sitting next to people.
Yeah.
You would have to. I guess you would have to just spread out and make sure every chair.
I don't know.
What a nightmare.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, we had a big one coming up at the convention center, and of course then this came out, and it's like, well, we'll get word this week. It's like I knew what the word was going to be. They weren't going to, as things were unfolding. This was as things were unfolding. It's like they're not gonna have this, and they postponed it to October. I don't know the exact date, but they're saying October time frame. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I'd say that's more realistic than anyone thinking it's going to be June or.
But I mean,
even July.
think of the impact, like tourism, just,
Yeah.
convention centers, hotels. Now, Portland has its fair share of it as a major city. We're not as good. I mean, no offense, that we have a nice convention center and everything, and we certainly have a beautiful city. People want to come to Portland to
Yeah.
to travel here and come to conferences and stuff. Portland's definitely a place people want to go to, but there's other like New York, like Vegas especially, that are just geared toward that sort of industry. It's all tourism,
Right. Right.
and you know what?
That you've hit
That's
on
a whole
something.
industry.
You've hit something just on nail on the head, man. Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is literally a city that was built for tourism. What happens? Casinos. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's shut down 6, 7, 8, 9 months, do they have a war chest enough to weather that storm?
Yeah.
But
anyway, that's the.
Anyway, that's another day. That's for another day.
Yeah, man,
We'll see
I
what happens.
just, I don't know what to say or think about that. I tell you, it's like, it's pretty wild. We should get going, and I think we'll come back a little stronger. It's been a rough week. I think people are having a rough time this week.
I think so too, because I think it's now sunk in.
Yeah.
It was so new, and everyone was but now that's become everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, I'm pretty resilient, and I'm also pretty much like one of those people that they say, it's like, hey, I've been practicing social distancing my whole life, baby. I don't like people. Oh, I'm online here. Yeah. It's like, work from home? You betcha.
Yeah. Who knew? I've been doing this for years. So
Yeah. But a couple days ago, I just kind of woke up and I was like, oh man, and I just felt bad. I just felt depressed. I was like, oh man, I mean, it was manageable. I'm not saying it, but it was just kind of like, yeah, it kind of sank in a little bit, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
kind of got sad, it's just like, I mean, you're like, oh.
It does, but I mean, this is where I think somewhat technology is going to alleviate some of that.
That's the difference, and that's the whole thing. Technology is not the problem here.
No. Yeah.
Technology is the solution.
Right.
That's not our problem. Technology has solutions here. Yeah, we got Zoom video conferencing. If you don't mind getting hacked, I shouldn't say that. Okay, look into it. It's not that. Look,
Yeah.
just be careful. Read up on it. Yes, there's some things you need to do. You need to password protect your thing.
Yeah.
Also, the people who are doing the bad things to your Zoom conference are kiddies. They're kids that are, edgy little kids. They're not. It's as distasteful as they do that stuff. So, calm down. But yeah, I mean, technology isn't the problem. Technology's got a lot of the solutions here. We just need to figure out what we were doing before and how we might do it again. Because I know, unlike me, there are a lot of people who want to go to their concerts and sporting events and their movie theaters and their all their social gatherings. Just churches, man.
Humans are fundamentally social creatures.
Yeah. I mean, churches, think about that. Yep. Think how important religion is to many people.
Yeah. I've heard the Catholic Church, they're now calling it virtual mass and virtual communion.
Yeah. Well, that's what's been going on here,
Yeah.
A lot of places doing that here in Portland too. So anyway, on that note, but we're gonna I think I'm gonna finally be done with all my stuff.
Okay.
So I'm hoping we can come back even more often next week and have fun stuff. Now that I'm going through the archives and getting it organized, I can dig through the archives. I'm going to be restarting up the podcast feed again, which died mainly because of my disorganization.
Okay.
So so there are things in store.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking of is trying to VNC in on the NuzBox audio only, and maybe starting some internet radio shows.
That's doable. We can do that.
And it wouldn't even be politics.
I've been itching to do. I have been itching to do. There we go. Hello, sorry folks. Anyway.
Yeah.
Just getting back to my trying to find my new live page here. They changed everything on me, by the way, before we went live. So that's not only that. That's why I'm like.
Yeah.
But I've actually been thinking about getting back to spinning a little tunes.
Yeah.
Not on NuzBox though. We'll be on another radio station.
I think I know.
Not on NuzBox because NuzBox don't have a license to do that.
Right.
And we won't. We don't need a $3,000 bill from Sound Exchange.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So, but we'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Everything, as someone said just the other day on their revived podcast, everything old is new again.
That's right.
There you go.
Right.
All right. Any final words?
Final words. Be safe over the weekend, and
yeah.
Folks, if you lived a really busy life where you never could have a hobby before, now's a good time to start exploring other interests.
Well, that's kind of ominous.
Well, no, I'm just saying that, I mean, if you're at home and your whole world revolved around the cubicle in your office building, and then suddenly you find yourself now in a different sort of environment, hey, if you live a busy life and you now have some more time on your hands, branch out.
Yeah. Yeah, personal growth.
There you go.
That's actually, I've done a little of that recently. The personal growth thing. That sounds bad. What personal growth is it, Doc?
Are they talking about the sex bands again?
Oh, my God. No, it's not just, it's Neanderthal.
Right.
Sex van. Neanderthal shag van. Get it right. Get it right. It's a Neanderthal shag van.
We're going to all hop in the Paleo Mobile and, anyway.
All right. We'll see you back, next week. We'll be back next week. And hopefully I got this queued up properly. Oh, here, I'll play the music out.
All right.
And talk to you again, Jason.
Yep. A Reaver Dare show.